Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free.
If the game is rigged, change the game.
You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black.
Game changer, game changer, game changer, game changer. The Game Changer Radio Network.
Recruiting all of our intelligence towards Jimmy Church.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Ah, yeah. Fade to Black. How you doing? It's Monday. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. That's right. Today's Monday. Back in the chair. April 13th. 103 days into the new year, by the way. Finally hit triple digits. 262 days left. We are live from the City of Angels Studios right here in Burbank, California. COA Vapor, makers of the Fade to Black e-juice. Fader Loops and Cream. Just go to the COA banner. Go right there. www.jimmychurchradio.com. You know what to do. Use the promo code Jimmy for that Fader Not special. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network, KGRA The Planet, I am your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Tonight, we have back with us L.A. Marzulli. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in Fade to Black 14. Got a big week here on Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren. That's right. We got some stuff to talk about tomorrow night with Joshua P. It's going to be great. And then on Wednesday, strap in. Are you ready? On Wednesday, Dean Haglund of the X-Files. That's right. The lone gunman. Dean Haglund will be with us. We'll be talking about his documentary, UFOs, The Truth Is Out There. Talk about the X-Files, what he's doing now, conspiracies, the paranormal, UFOs, everything. Dean Haglund on Wednesday. All right. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. Welcome. You want to follow us on Twitter right now at JChurch Radio. That's what you want to do. Hashtag F2B. Get yourself some tweet deck. My mantra for this week is bring your A game. That's my mantra. Bring your A game. Bring your A game. Faders.org went down on Saturday. Some technical issues. It went down. It's back up. It's all good. Just letting you know, some technical stuff. But it's all good. So faders.org is back up. It's free. It's fun. Become a fader not today. Go over to faders.org. All right. Now, we are... I can't do this. It's a little premature for me to say a little bit too much. But we're going to start something very special over the next, in about 2 weeks, maybe about 3 weeks. I'm not going to say what it is. But we have a couple of sponsors, and we have a couple of big things that are going to be popping up. And I'm excited about that. And Studio Dome is one of them. Okay, so go and check out Studio Dome. What we are going to be kicking off in a couple of weeks is it's going to be radio history, and it's going to go down right here. Studio Dome is one of the backers on this. It's going to be amazing. So show them your support. Go to jimmychurchradio.com right now. Studio Dome SD1s. You know, we run the commercials, and there's a banner right there. Go get yourself one of these Bluetooth speakers. They sound amazing. They do. You get to hear, instead of on your cell phone, you know, that sound, your laptop. No, with one of these, you get to hear this for real. All right, go check it out right now. Studio Dome SD1, enter the promo code Jimmy. Get $40 off of the list price of $99.99. That's $59.99, and get yourself some free shipping. Just enter the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. Now, we're going to start going heavy. We did over the last month and a half. We brought in all of the speakers, just about everybody, I think, at Contact in the Desert. And we've got everybody there. Now, you know, I'm going to start a little bit of a push, you know, a personal push for everybody, that if you didn't win tickets, you know, it's coming up very quick. We're already halfway through April. We're like 2 days away from tax day. And Contact in the Desert is May 29th through the 31st. So get your tickets, get everything in order, get your life in order, and get across the country. Well, hey, if you're coming from California, you know, all right? But Joshua Tree, Contact in the Desert, May 29th through the 31st. I am excited, like I have announced before, but I want to make this very clear for everybody, some of the events that are going on that we're personally involved with. One, we're doing the broadcast of Fade to Black in the auditorium Friday night, live, a 3-hour live show. When have you ever seen anything like that? We're going to do that Friday night. We're going to have all of the mainline speakers there. And there's also another party that is going on at the same time right next to our venue with all of the speakers. So they're all going to be coming through, hanging out. You go. Get to Contact in the Desert, because you can hang out with us after the show, hang out with me, everybody that was on the show, meet the Fade to Black crew, all the other Fadernauts. We're all going to be there, all the contest winners. It's going to be great. That's Friday night. Then Saturday in the afternoon, Fade to Black and myself, we're hosting a panel with Stanton Friedman, Richard Dolan, Nick Redfern, Mike Barra, Steve Murillo, William Brown, and Joel Garbin, the physics of UFOs. So we're going to do that. And that's at the outdoor amphitheater, the big stage. So we're going to do that. And then later that night on Saturday, we're going to have a special West Coast premiere of the Montauk Chronicles. Director Chris Garitano is going to be there, and you're going to get to meet Chris. And then after the movie, Chris and I will be up there, and we're going to take your questions, and we're going to have a question and answer. When have you ever been able to do anything like that? It's so cool. So that's the events that we're participating in. Come on out. Contact in the Desert. Also, I do want to announce that this Saturday. Oh, hey. Did everybody check out Hangar One on Friday night? It was pretty good, wasn't it? Hangar One. Almost forgot about that. It's Monday, and now here we have another Hangar One coming up this Friday. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. And I haven't seen any of the episodes. And it was kind of funny because my little bits were in the second half of the show, and I'm sitting there with my family, my wife, my brothers, my mom, and my dad, and my niece and my nephew were there too as well. And we had a big dinner. We're sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm wondering. I hope you guys didn't come over here for nothing. Man, started to get a little nervous. But, you know, there it was. And it was well done. It was a really well put together show. And very, very proud of what they did. So did you guys see Hangar One? Yeah. Okay. I want to see what Twitter has to say. Did you guys dig the show? Did we hit it on the money? I thought it was really well done. And I think this week is underwater UFOs, I think. Underwater bases, maybe? I think I'll make the cut on that one. I think I'll be there. And, okay, so where was I? This Saturday, if you live in L.A., you live in California, you live in Southern California, you know, San Diego, Palm Springs, Santa Barbara, you're out here in the Valley, whatever. You're here in Southern California. This Saturday, I'll be hosting the Conscious Life Unsolved Mysteries Seminar out at the LAX Hilton. That's April 18th, this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's with Barbara Lamb, Douglas Taylor, Dana Dunn, and Mike Barra. Unsolved Mysteries. Come and check it out. Come and hang out. You can just go to the Conscious Life website, consciouslife.com. Also, I think it's up at jimmychurchradio.com. If you go to future events, it is listed there. All right, now let's get the show cracking. Tonight, we have L.A. Marzulli with us, very fired up. L.A.'s one of the very best, and he does have the coolest name in all of paranormal everything, L.A. Marzulli. So he'll be with us tonight. Let's get this show cracking. Today, drummer Max Weinberg. Max, 64 years old. And I think that's going to be our Twitter question of the night right there. If you know who Max Weinberg is, you know, he's the drummer for the E Street Band, Max Weinberg. And he was, what TV show was he the drummer for? Help me out. Was it David Letterman? Was it Letterman? I could be wrong. Was it Letterman? I can't remember. Max Weinberg, love him though. Great E Street Band, 64 years old. Also today, actor Paul Sorvino is 76. You know Paul from Goodfellas. He played Paul. Paul, what was his last name in Goodfellas? He was so good, like Paul Viola, something like that. Paul Sorvino, 76. Also the father of Mira Sorvino. Chess master Gary Kasparov is 52 years old today. Ricky Schroeder is 45. What was his TV show? Doogie, he played the doctor, Doogie Howser. When I was a kid, worked at this art shop, print shop out in Pasadena. And Ricky Schroeder's manager or agent, I don't know, comes in to make a copy of one of his scripts, right? And then later on that day, Schroeder comes in. He's like, I swear to you, he's like 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, little kid with a big gold Rolex. I was like, what? The watch weighed more than he did. Anyway, Ricky Schroeder, 45 years old, great actor. He's good. Our dead guys' birthdays today are Don Adams, 1923 to 2005. Died at the age of 82. Of course, we know he played Maxwell Smart on Get Smart. And also today, a little moment of silence for Don and for, that's right, today, Hillel Slovak. Hillel, 1962 to 1988, died at the age of 26. He was the founder and creator, the dude behind the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Created in his apartment in Hollywood, and there you go. A few weeks after the band returned from a tour in 1988, they attempted to contact Hillel to say what's up, but were unable for several days to get him to pick up the phone. Eventually, the police go over to his apartment right in the middle of Hollywood. On June 27th, 1988, they found him dead. And after the autopsy, authorities determined that he had died 2 days earlier due to a heroin overdose. Hillel Slovak. All right. Now, Twitter. And I'm going to say this. No, Ricky's show. Who was Doogie Howser? He was Silver Spoons. Then who was Doogie Howser? I thought Ricky Schroeder was Doogie Howser. Am I wrong on that one? Or did he do two shows? Twitter's lighting up. See, that's the thing about the Fadernauts. They know. They call me out. They call me out. I can't make a mistake. I can't make a mistake. Whose birthday is it today? It's Dan's birthday. Happy birthday, Dan. Is it really? Happy birthday, Dan. Okay. Real quick. I had, I just missed the break. So I'm going to do this really quick. When I was growing up, I was not, and don't freak out, I was not a big E Street Band guy. I didn't get what was going down. I didn't. I do now. I get it today. But what is your, well, we're talking about Max Weinberg here. So what is your E Street Band song? What is yours? I've got a few. I've got a few. Now today I appreciate it. So with that, Neil Patrick Harris was Doogie Howser. See, I don't know. Aren't they the same guy? Aren't they the same guy? This is Fade to Black. It is Monday. Tonight, L.A. Marzulli is with us. We are going to give away, a box set, just released, box set of Watchers 1 through 8. A couple of other goodies come in with that box set. I'll let L.A. talk about that when he comes on with us. But it goes to the best question of the night. I'm not even going to tell you who the judge is. So, bring your A game. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Skype in Fade to Black 14. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be back right after this short break. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Fade to Black, the Monday edition. How you doing? Klaatu, I was kidding. It was a joke. The same guy. It was a joke. It was a joke. But they're the same guy. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, L.A. Marzulli will be with us. We're going to give away a box set, $160 box set of Watchers 1 through 8, the complete series. A couple of other goodies come along with that as well. To the best question of the night from one of you's callers. That's right. Excited. L.A. will be with us in just a few short minutes. Let's get to the news that you know nothing about. Oh, by the way, I got an email from Mark Wyatt telling his strange train story. You remember Richard Dolan on with us last week telling us the strange train story. Well, Mark Wyatt sent me his. It's long. So if I have enough time at the end of the show tonight, I'll read it to you. I don't have enough time to read it now, but it is ultra, ultra freaky. Mark, thank you for the email. I did get it. If I have some time tonight, we'll get it in. I will squeeze it in tomorrow if I don't get to it tonight. But I can't do that kind of teaser, can I? So I guess I'll read it at some point tonight. All right, let's get to the news that you know nothing about. SpaceX. SpaceX said on Twitter today that ET will be the next opportunity that for the company. Oh, I'm sorry. I just read this wrong. That Tuesday at 4:10 p.m. ET will be the next opportunity for the company to launch a 2-stage Falcon 9 rocket carrying an uncrewed cargo spacecraft called Dragon on flight from Cape Canaveral, Florida to the International Space Station. Now, after the launch, SpaceX will try to guide the bottom stage of the rocket upright onto a platform out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean off of Florida. Yeah. Usually booster rockets burn up in the Earth's atmosphere, waste of money and all of that. Like this, the space shuttle boosters, they fall back into the ocean, they go. And so now they're like, why not land one? Let's go backwards. So Elon Musk says he wants to cut costs. On his company's website, he says that if anyone can figure out how to reuse rockets just like airplanes, the cost of access to space will be reduced as much as a factor of 100. SpaceX tried to land that Falcon 9 on the drone ship in January, but as you know, it hit at an angle and exploded. Check this out. NASA will pay 18 grand, 18,000 ducks quacking in your pond to anyone who is prepared to stay in bed for 10 weeks. Listen to this. And submit to a grueling regime of tests for more than 3 months. The only criteria are that the candidates will have to be healthy and American citizens. Scientists will constantly examine the lucky ones, if you can call it lucky, who are selected for 70 days. The research is being carried out to simulate how effective exercise is on astronauts who lose cardiovascular, bone, and muscle function as a result of living in zero gravity. The volunteers will be split into those who exercise and those who don't. Well, I guess I sign up for the latter. The first step will see all of those taking part spend between 2 and 3 weeks inside a bed rest facility. Here they will be allowed to move around and lead a normal day's life. The second stage will see the volunteers transferred to NASA's Flight Analog Research Unit in Houston, Texas. They will spend 10 weeks lying in bed with their bodies tilted slightly backwards with their feet up and their head down. Movement will be kept to a bare minimum, with the human lab rats only able to go to the toilet in a plastic bedpan. Yowza. Well, they will also have to wash in bed while lying down with a wet towel. Reading and watching movies will be allowed, as these activities don't use up much energy. However, the participants could suffer from aching joints due to lying in one position for such a lengthy period of time. The idea is to emulate what an astronaut's body actually goes through during the weightlessness of space flight. 18,000 ducks quacking in the pond to do that. I wouldn't do it. No way. 18 grand. So what is that? That's $6 grand a month. It's good coin, isn't it, to watch movies? But you got to go in a bedpan. A deep-pocketed Japanese department store shelled out, get ready, $2,500 yesterday for a pair of mangoes. Mangoes. After the hammer fell at the auction, that's right, the successful bidder airlifted the fruit to his luxury shop in Fukuoka, where they went on sale for a discounted price. And actually, they were 300,000 yen. They sold them for 210,000. I don't get that. The mangoes top of the range Tayo no Tamago, egg of the sun, were the first to go on auction this year. These are really good mangoes. They last year, you know what the record was? The record was they had a pair of cantaloupes that were like, I mean, how good are cantaloupes at $25,000 for two? How good, and I love my cantaloupe. 25 grand. That was in 2008. April 13th, 2000, the day the music industry and the internet died. That's right. They became frenemies forever. That's the day, today is the anniversary of Metallica versus Napster. The lawsuit was filed today in the United States District Court up in Northern California, and the case will become a national nightmare. Paved the way for Steve Jobs and Apple to create iTunes, iPods, and rejuvenated Apple, and made them the biggest company in the world today, if you think about it. It all went down because of Metallica versus Napster. Shut down the music industry. Everything in here in LA changed. Everything changed today on April 13th, 2000. Now, as we know, Napster lost. For years, this is my kind of story. And this is why you come to Fade to Black right here, right now. For years, astronauts aboard the International Space Station have had to endure one particularly brutal aspect of living in space. Instant coffee. Not anymore. The SpaceX rocket that launched earlier today will carry 4,300 pounds of supplies up to the ISS, and they're also going to deliver an espresso machine. Yep. As Wired reported, the rocket is delivering Lavazza's ISS Espresso, specially designed to operate in low-gravity conditions of the space station. The machine, built for Italian astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti, has a steel steam pipe built in to withstand much higher pressures than the plastic tubing normally used. It also shoots the espresso into a bag, which the astronauts will drink from a straw. Since the hot liquid would otherwise float out of the cup. But anyway, they now have espresso on the ISS. How cool is that? The machine was initially set to arrive last November, but was destroyed when that resupply rocket exploded just after liftoff. Hollywood feature films needs better quality than a GoPro can deliver for aerial footage. But this is about to debut out at NAB. They've got a new drone. It's called the Black Magic Design. Clearly thought this through, and it's about to launch a micro cinema camera. Judging by the banner glimpsed at the National Association of Broadcasters, NAB. This is one of the first years that I've missed NAB. Love NAB. Love Vegas. It should suit the high-end producer's needs with a Super 16 sensor, 30% smaller than a Micro Four Thirds sensor, which is what they use in the Hero. And the raw video with 13 stops of dynamic range. A giant nod to its intended usage is a built-in PWM and S-Bus drone radio control inputs as well. There's no word on what size of drone you'll need to lift it or other specs, but Blackmagic is likely to reveal the camera later on this evening. All right, man, we're out of time. How did I do it again? I've got like 10 more stories to do. I'll save them for the end of the show. I promise. All right, everybody, let's get to L.A. Let's get to L.A. Marzulli. When I come back after this short break, L.A. Marzulli will be with us. Don't forget, we've got a big week here on Fade to Black. Huge. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren. Wednesday, Dean Haglund of The X-Files. Going to be talking about his documentary and The X-Files. And The X-Files Part 2. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Today, everybody, the Fadernauts and planet Earth is vaping. And I'm very proud to announce our very own e-juice. When we were approached by City of Angels Vapor about Fade to Black e-juice, I wanted to make sure that it was the very best and that the flavors were something that I could create myself. And we did just that. Introducing Fade to Black Fader Loops. This will take you right back to Saturday morning cartoons and your favorite bowl of fruity, loopy cereal. Just click on the banner or go to www.coavapor.com. Enter the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not special. That's www.coavapor.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Attention, all Fadernauts. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's JimmyChurchRadio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go back, Lee Tepe. Fade to Black. The Monday edition. Tonight, L.A. Marzulli will be with us. Well, he's actually in the batter's box right now. He's swinging. Going to give away a complete Watchers 1 through 8 box set tonight. Bring your A game. The best caller, the best question is gonna walk away with the good stuff. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren will be with us, and then on Wednesday, Dean Haglund, actor Dean Haglund of the X-Files, will be with us. So we've got a great week. Kicking it off tonight, one of my favorite guys, L.A. Marzulli. He's an author, lecturer, filmmaker. He has penned 8 books, including the Nephilim trilogy, and Nephilim 2 is really good, by the way, which made the CBA bestsellers list. He received an honorary doctorate for the series from his mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, who was the provost marshal, I guess the provost marshal, right? At the Pacific, that's a bad joke, at the Pacific International University. L.A. Marzulli teamed up with producer Richard Shaw to create the Watchers series. There are now 8 installments in the series, and Watchers 7, UFO Physical Evidence, recently won the UFO Best Film and the People's Choice Awards at the UFO Congress in 2014. Marzulli and Shaw took their second trip to Peru last January, as you remember, filming the ancient artifacts and megalithic structures at various locations, which became Watchers 8, one of my favorites. And with Chase Kletsky, actually, she was in that too as well. I think Brian Forrester, we'll talk to L.A. about that. Marzulli has lectured on the subject of UFOs, the Nephilim, and ancient prophetic texts, presenting his exhaustive research at conferences, churches, as well as appearances and interviews on all of the national and international radio and television programs, including this one, Fade to Black. I would like to welcome back L.A. Marzulli. L.A. Marzulli. How are you, L.A.?
Hey, man. Great to be here, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on.
Man,
really cool.
You do have the coolest name in all of paranormal, man. You really do. It just, I mean, I remember years ago, L.A., welcome back to the program, by the way. I remember years ago when I was, doing research and I came across your name and I thought, you know what? I'm going to check this guy out because L.A. Marzulli just sounds real serious. And I did. I've told you that before, but it's really true, and it just rolls off the tongue. Welcome back, my friend.
Hey, man, great to be here.
So tonight, let's warm up things here. Let's start with this box set. It was just released, and so tonight you're joining us, and then let's talk about the box set and what comes with it. What is it exactly?
The box set is all 8 of the Watchers DVDs from episode 1 to episode 8. Episode 1 is UFOs Are Real. 2 is Signs in the Heavens and Earth. 3, Fingerprints of the Supernatural. 4, On the Edge. 5, Let Me In. I mean, we get in everything from the Shroud of Turin to Black-Eyed Kids to UFOs to abduction phenomena to taking out the implant, which we see in Watchers 7 and Watchers 8. All over the map with this stuff. Near-death experience, Torah codes, it's all in the Watchers series. And we're doing this like promo deal because never before we had an 8-box set. So that in itself would be, if you bought them all separately, be $160. But wait, there's more. We're adding the book Further Evidence, which is a sleeper UFO book. I mean, I went in, for instance, Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr., I sat down with him. It's a written interview. It's incredible. That interview is in Further Evidence. Dr. Roger Lear, his interview, written interview, in Further Evidence. Dr. David Jacobs, 2 different interviews at 2 different times with an update. That interview is there, and on it goes. So you get all 8 DVDs, the book Further Evidence, a free calendar, plus a 1-month trial subscription to our monthly e-magazine, all for $99. So basically, you're saving like $100.
Man, so cool, so cool. I'm lucky I've seen them all, but the Watchers series, and last year when you were on with this, I really mean this. The Watchers series is like it's the real deal. When you go and you're watching different documentaries, and there's some excellent stuff out there. There really is. But to me, even some of the best, they always leave you wanting. They leave something on the table. You guys have not ever done that in any of the Watchers stuff, and
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And a big hats off to Rick and his editing and his shooting and how he deals with it too as well. You guys take it real serious, and we need you guys.
Well, I appreciate the kudos, and Rick and I are actually shooting Watchers 9. We are very excited about it. Can't tell you anything about it at all, but hopefully we'll have that rolling out fairly quickly. We'll see what happens. Maybe by June.
Yeah, man, you too. Yeah, I don't know how did you? Let's talk about that for a second, because it seems like it's a marriage made in heaven. You got, well, I really mean that. You got the best of both worlds going on. How did you guys get hooked up?
Well, the way it happened, and I'll tell you, I was on Coast to Coast with George Norrie talking about my book, Politics, Prophecy, and Supernatural. And Richard Shaw, was listening to the show. Now, every time I'm on Coast, I get inundated with emails. And the next day was no exception. We had hundreds and hundreds of emails, many of them go unanswered. It's just myself and the wifey here doing all this stuff. And we can't get to, right now I've got over 2,000 unanswered emails in the email queue. So we do our best. But if I answer one, I have a PayPal or a pen pal, and there you go.
Right.
So it just never ends. Anyway, Richard is listening to Coast with George Norrie, hears me on the show and goes, this guy sounds pretty far out. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of him. So he emails me. And he says, you want to get together for lunch? I heard you on Coast to Coast, blah, blah, blah. So I figured, okay, well, let's give it a roll out. So we meet for lunch, and that was the first meeting, and it was great. I got a free lunch out of the deal, and we went our separate ways. Several months later, he emailed me and said, hey, I'm working on this Torah Code project. Will you come down and talk about prophecy? So I went down to his studio, which is what he had then, which is really a cool place, and we filmed. And some of that actually made its way into his Torah Code movie. what kicked it off is when I was on the Ancient Alien series, and I did season 1 and season 2 with them. And look, I mean, it's their show. They can do whatever they want to do. They can spin it or edit it however they want to edit it. I have no control of that. I get it, but I don't have to go back on it if I feel like I'm being edited in a non-favorable way, which is how I felt. It's a great show. It's been like 7 seasons or something.
Yep.
Still going strong. But I'm on the other side of the aisle with this. I don't believe that these are friendly ETs. I believe that there's a highly nefarious, malevolent agenda. And look, I'm not the only one who believes this. Dr. David Jacobs, for instance, believes it, or certainly would weigh in on that side of it. The father of ufology, one of the founding fathers of ufology, Jacques Vallée, believes that these are interdimensional beings, not extraterrestrial beings. Anyway, I'm at this casting call for a reality show. Don't ask me how I got there, but I'm there. And there's like 12 or 13 finalists. I'm the only guy who's published, the only guy who's written anything. There are some actors, there are some models, there are a few magicians, and they're going to do a show, and I won't tell you what the name of it was because it never got aired. But I left that place just fuming. And I called up Richard and I said, look, we got to make our own show. We just got to make our own show on UFOs. So he goes, well, how much money do we have? I said, basically nothing. He said, okay, sounds good. So we came over, and that began Watchers. We had no idea what was going to happen with it. I put it up on the blog. I think we pressed like a couple of hundred DVDs. They sold out within a few hours, and the rest is history. We never look back. It's guerrilla filmmaking at its best.
Well, that's how the best stuff gets done, because it's done not necessarily to commercialize. It's done to, which is fine. This is America. That's fine. But
America.
That's right. But to do it for the message first.
Both jib.
Yep. and yeah, it's true. And then the message is there, and those that are concerned, you're going to find those. You're going to find that audience. And it's a lot like this show too, LA. It's a message that needs to be accurate and correct, and let's discover and explore together. But everything isn't for everybody. But the ones that you need to find the message, they're going to be attracted to you, and that's exactly what's happened with Watchers.
Thank you, and congratulations to you too. It's interesting how people will gravitate towards something where they're seeing information or seeing that we're just presenting facts. I mean, I weigh in on the end of every show, but I'm not like hitting people over the head with, and if you don't believe this paradigm, we kill you. I mean, nothing like that. But I do weigh in from time to time and tell you, look, folks, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I don't think it's all, nice, warm, fuzzy little rabbits or something. There's something else going on, specifically speaking about, of course, the abduction phenomenon, which we had dealt with in basically all of our Watchers series. So, look, Rick and I love what we do. Like I said, we're shooting Watchers 9. The 8-box set is available. We're rolling it out, throwing a lot of bonuses in there. People are holding Watcher parties, Jimmy, coast to coast. They invite all their friends over. They have Watchers marathons, where they'll show like Watchers at midweek church services. I'm not kidding you. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, let me ask you about that. And I know you and I have talked about this off the air, but let me ask you directly. You speak at churches, and you speak at UFO conventions too, as well. So you've got two different distinct audiences, or are they the same? You can address that. But when you are speaking about these subjects at a church, are you trying to change minds, or is that audience just as engaged?
In both venues, the audience is engaged equally. The people, let's say in the MUFON, by the way, I'll be speaking at a MUFON meeting, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, in
Studio City.
Studio City. We're excited about that. And I can't wait, because what I do is I just try to present stuff in a non-religious way and just present it from the other side of the aisle, basically supernaturally. What's interesting is that when I speak at churches, it's the same deal. I get looked at both places like, where's this guy really coming from? What's he going to tell us? At church venues and also at MUFON or UPAR's
right.
meetings. It's the same deal. But the way I win them over is, and there's no written script. I have pictures on my PowerPoint. I actually use a Mac, so it's called another name, but basically it's a PowerPoint presentation, and there's no notes. There's just pictures, and the picture goes up on the wall, and I start yakking because I live this stuff. It's my core values. It's what I believe in. It's what I've traveled 35 years in, and even before that, when I was involved with gurus and my third eye was open and went through the whole New Age, gobbledygook stuff. I mean, I've traveled this stuff for decades, and so it's what you get is someone that's like on fire. I mean, I love what I do. I love talking about this stuff. And I like talking about the idea that, look, there is the supernatural. And when we plug the supernatural into the UFO phenomenon, we get similarities to what's written in ancient prophetic texts, i.e. the Bible. And that, when I start to show that to people on both sides of the aisle, everybody starts to get it. You see the light bulb go off, and I just love that because it's done in a non-religious way, and it's going, hey, guys, if there's a supernatural, let's just suppose for a second that there is a supernatural. And the biblical narrative, without the supernatural, there is no narrative. It's all supernatural stuff going on in the biblical narrative. Guys walking on water, water turning into wine, guys are swallowed up by big whales that get regurgitated, worldwide floods, staffs that turn into serpents. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's like the best sci-fi book you'll ever read in your life, except what we're seeing is the supernatural manifesting in this dimension in ways that we've never seen. And that brings us to modernity with the whole UFO phenomena. And guess what? It's manifesting in ways that I've never seen. For instance, there's this one shot, I love it. Jaime Maussan gave it to us, the world, renowned ufologist. And it's Popocatépetl, the volcano in Mexico. And it shows this large craft just going right down in the middle of it. The problem is, there's no caldera there. I mean, there's no open caldera. It's closed up on the top. So what are we looking at here? Is there a gate? Is there a portal? Is it interdimensional? There's something. How did it access the volcano? But it clearly goes into Popocatépetl. It goes in and it doesn't come out. What are we looking at here? And I just love stuff like this because it demonstrates that this phenomena, the UFO phenomena, and Jacques Vallée will weigh on this, is closer to interdimensional stuff that we see than extraterrestrial stuff. And of course, that's the side I weigh in on.
Do you, when you speak at a church, and not to run this in the ground, I'm just fascinated. I'm fascinated with it. Do you have, after you're done speaking, do you have the inevitable, somebody steps up to you and is like, dude, haven't you been struck by lightning yet? Or do you expect it? This is wrong.
What usually happens, and look, I've spoken at some pretty conservative churches. I mean, really super conservative.
I've seen. I'll jump in. I've seen a couple of videos. Okay, I have, and with the introductions that are coming up, I know that you're speaking to a really conservative audience.
Yeah. Exactly. And what convinces them, and you can hear a pin drop sometimes, like when I'll show the clips from Watchers 8, and I'll tell them that one prayer changed the atmosphere in that operating theater, and all of a sudden the implant, which had been cloaked, we couldn't find it with anything for like well over an hour and 15, 20 minutes. One prayer changed the atmosphere. And I'm not talking, like a Billy Graham prayer. It was just simple, Father, if there are forces which are cloaking this device, please break their power and do it soon. That was it. That's all I said.
Right.
And less than 2 minutes later, all of a sudden the object, and we saw on film, the object just kind of floats into the monitor. And everybody goes, oh my gosh, everyone was freaked out. Because we've been there for an hour and 20 minutes going over the same area, 3 inches by 8 inches, in the guy's leg, you're looking for this implant and it's not there. It's like it's being cloaked. And of course, that's the title of Watchers 8, Cloak of Secrecy. And it was. But one prayer brought on a power greater than they are. And we were able to extract this thing from this guy. By the way, he was abducted when he was 5 years old and implanted then. So this is all incredibly nefarious and, in my opinion, highly malevolent. You don't abduct 5-year-old kids and implant them. You don't do that.
Right,
period.
Right.
Period. And we can say, well, it's, their situational ethics. Well, I guess they're doing it because they're higher than us. Nonsense. Baloney. Nonsense. They know exactly what they're doing. They live off the fear. They create incredible amount of fear. I've talked to this guy numerous times, and he was absolutely terrified. The fear level was through the roof. It's absolutely through the roof. And these entities always promulgate fear. That's how they move. They move in fear. They do everything in fear. Look, when we interviewed Chase Klodsky, which is in Watchers 8, she's a major ufologist and wonderful woman, really bright, really smart. Hats off to you, Chase. And, it's just, she's amazing. And we're down there, Peru. And of course, Chase was doing all the forensic for us, making sure we were getting the evidence that we were supposed to. The bottom line is when she's talking about the entity which she encountered in that field, and it's a Watchers 8 exclusive when she comes in on the record and tells us about it. And I asked her, what was it like? And she said it was like she was terrified times 1,000. And, you can see it in her body language. When she starts to get choked up, her throat constricts a little. Look at her body language there. And it's all genuine. I mean, this stuff is, it's not fuzzy, warm Winnie the Pooh bedtime stories. It's not. And the same guy that we took the implant out, he talks about it. He was terrified, absolutely terrified. The level of terror. Look, I sat down, and I'm not making any bones about this, with Travis Walton several months ago. Just the three of us, Richard Shaw, myself, and Travis. And we were talking, and we were praying over Travis, and at one point, Travis just looked at me and he just said, they're evil. They're just plain evil. That's what he said. And I agree with him. Now, whether he says that at UFO conventions, you got to back off on that because people, this is Travis Walton. This is the guy firing this guy, the whole thing.
Right.
This man's life was taken from him. It was. He's still trying to cope with it, still trying to deal with it. And this is what I see with the abduction, the people I've talked to who are experiencers, who are abductees on an ongoing basis or have been abducted. Oftentimes their lives are just a shambles. And we've been able to help some people by telling them about a power that's greater than these entities, which is what we demonstrated in Watchers 8. And when they ask him in, when they ask Yeshua into their lives, things begin to change. They begin to get a victory. And that's the good news. That's basically the good news. There is a way out.
Well, can't there be, L.A., I'm getting a little rumble. It might be coming from your desk or your microphone. Just.
Yeah, I'm pounding a desk. I'll be careful.
Yeah, you are.
A little too excited here, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Can't we have, don't you think that malevolent, benevolent, interdimensional, and other ET races and species, can it all be going on at the same time?
Well, isn't that interesting? I mean, that's what a lot of people will try to say. I mean, Richard Shaw and I discuss this constantly. Surely there must be the good guys, and there are. They're definitely the good guys. The problem is, right now, and I wrote about this, I think, way back in 2010. And I stated in this blog, is it possible that the good guys have retreated and allowing, because this is the time, I believe we're in the last days, the time of the end, allowing the fallen ones, these entities, which are highly intelligent, but nefarious and highly malevolent. The good guys have pulled back and allowed these guys to sort of take over. It's an orderly retreat. Now, I have no proof of that, except that after I wrote that blog, I had felt in my spirit that something had shifted, and it wasn't a good shift. And that's what I wrote about it. Shortly after that, we had, which is now the famous Haitian earthquake,
right,
9.0. And it's just gone on from then. Since then, we've got the Arab Spring. Who would have imagined the Arab Spring? We see the Middle East basically imploding as we speak. We see World War III looming on the horizons. Putin today decides to sell the S-300 missile system to Iran. That's a red line for the Israelis. We're looking at World War III. Look at ISIL, what it's doing in Iraq. Look at the countless slaughter of Christians all throughout the Middle East. And the slaughter of Sunni and Shia, the two sects of Islam going at each other, and basically suicide bombers constantly. Look at the earthquakes in diverse places. There was a trembler here out in Los Angeles, 3.5. Look at the Ring of Fire, which is constantly producing earthquakes from Alaska going down the west coast of the United States, Central America, South America, swinging out to Vanuatu, which is constantly plagued with all sorts of nonsense, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, and back up around that ring of fire. Look at the volcanic activity which is happening. I'm actually trying to get a hold of a volcanologist to weigh in on it. Look, is this business as usual, all these volcanoes waking up, or is this something that's unusual? And it'd be very interesting to get them to weigh in. The bottom line, Jimmy, when we begin to take the whole thing, we step back and we look at what was written 2,000 years ago in these ancient prophetic texts that say, this is the words of Yeshua, before I return, we'll see wars and rumors of wars, check. Famines, check. Earthquakes and pestilence, checks. Earthquakes in diverse places, check. Troublesome times, check. Men faint from fear from what is coming upon the earth. And this is what's going on today. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. It's like, for those of you who are out there, it's getting better. Baloney, it's not getting better. Well, and I haven't even touched the global meltdown with the currency wars that are going on between the BRICS nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, trying to set up another default currency other than the United States petrodollar. Are you kidding me? We are trillions of dollars in debt. It's all propped up. It's all funny money. The feds, which have no interest, they're not part of the federal government. It's an international cartel of independent bankers. That's what our Federal Reserve is. It's all funny money that's being printed. We're trillions of dollars of debt. It's a house of cards. And then on top of this, you get the threat of the electromagnetic pulse weapon that the Iranians would just love to do. You know, Obama's got his, guys over there, John Swiftboat Kerry, and they're trying to do this whole thing with, Iran and the sanctions and all this stuff. Meanwhile, every Friday at prayers, the Islamists sit there and go, death to America, death to Israel. Nothing's changed. And they have a technology to do an electromagnetic pulse weapon. I'm not the first guy talking about this. Other pundits have said exactly the same thing. An electromagnetic pulse weapon, which is a nuclear device detonated 200 miles up in the atmosphere over Oklahoma City, basically short circuits out all the electronics, everything. We're bombed back to pre-industrial revolutionary times, which means your cell phone, your car, your microwave, your refrigerator, nothing works. And guess what? 24 hours later, the power doesn't go back on. It doesn't go back on for months. And if it happens in the winter, millions will die in the first week. Millions will die in the first week. This is what we're threatened with, and yet Congress refuses to do anything about it. So,
well, that's exactly why you're on this show. We're up against a break in 60 seconds, so we're going to pick up this conversation as soon as we come back. But LA, what is it that we can do?
Wow, what can we do?
I mean, I'm a firm believer. I am the classic glass is half full guy. Okay, I am that guy.
That's a good place to be.
Yes, so I just don't. I don't think it will happen. I was talking to Rick about this yesterday, and Rick and I, you know how he is. You get started, it's a 3-hour conversation. We can't stop. But what is it? What is it? We're up against a break. Let's go ahead and take the break.
You got it.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way because I have the feeling that this is going to be a very seriously long answer. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, L.A. Marzulli is with us. We're going to be taking your calls. We're going to give away a Watchers 1 through 8 box set to the best question thrown at L.A. Marzulli. I'm not going to tell you who the judge is. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Alternative Talk, KGRA.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. May arrives soon, and with it comes another Contact in the Desert. So join me in Joshua Tree, California, for the 3rd annual Contact in the Desert Conference being held May 29th through the 31st. 2015 brings another awesome lineup of speakers, including publisher of Legendary Times, Giorgio Tsoukalos, New York Times bestselling author David Wilcock, journalist and conspiracy expert Jim Mars, former head of UFO Project for the MOD Nick Pope, investigative reporter Linda Moulton Howe, author and contactee Travis Walton, UFO historian Richard Dolan, and many more. You don't want to miss this. Fade to Black and KGRA will be there broadcasting live May 29th. Just visit contactinthedesert.com for tickets and information. That's contactinthedesert.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air, to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's all here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. It is the Monday edition. Tonight we have L.A. Marzulli with us. Call-in numbers 323-825-5045. We're going to open up the phone lines in a bit because tonight we are giving away a Watchers 1 through 8 complete box DVD set. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren is with us. And then Wednesday, actor Dean Haglund of The X-Files. Let's get right back to it. L.A., the passion. I love the passion. I was just watching Twitter light up. The passion, the passion. What can we do? You know, I totally agree with you. Right now, the Middle East is heating up. We've got Russia, getting cranky. I don't know what's up with the Chinese. We've got North Korea that seems like, the finger is on the button at any moment. And
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And so... But I'm the glass is half full. We haven't had any nuclear exchanges after Japan, and we've seemed to keep things under control. But it does, right now it seems like our toe is like right out there at the edge of the cliff, feeling in the dark. It's like it's right there. What can we do, my brother? What can we do?
Well, here's the deal. We can do a lot. We can warn people about what's coming. We can try to set up a dialogue with people, wake people up. A lot of folks are just plain asleep. They're looking at this stuff. They don't understand. We know something that my scenario has been, and I've written about this in numerous books, that there's going to be some sort of a nuclear event on this planet. And that because we're linked up in ways that we've never been linked up before, Jimmy. You know this, with the telecommunication systems that we have, with the numerous satellites that are overhead. More people are watching. Look, I watched the Masters live this weekend on my computer. I didn't even turn on my TV set till Sunday afternoon. I watched it on my iPhone when I was out on Sunday. Just watched it on my iPhone. I mean, this is the world that we're living in. We're all linked up. We're all synced together. If there's a nuclear event on this planet, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We will watch it basically live. It will create the greatest collective fear that humankind has ever experienced together. That's when they show up. That's when they show up.
I think that with global consciousness, the way that it is right now, everything is connected. The internet, this show, you.
Sure.
I think that we have the ability to take our foot off the gas, because if one little thing kicks off, that's it. It's over. It's not going to just stop, at one concentrated.
It's a freight train headed, on steroids, headed to a cliff and there's a bridge and the bridge is out, and that's where we're headed. Look, the bottom line is this: just look at our own country. Last week, the North Carolina shooting where the police just empties his revolver into a guy running away from him.
Right.
I mean, what do we do with that? What do we do with Ferguson? What do we do with the racial tension in the country? What do we do with the fact that the Cherokee people still have never really been apologized for the Trail of Tears, which wiped out, thousands and thousands of Native Americans centuries ago? Now Kentucky did a formal proclamation talking about the atrocity that was done to the Cherokee Native Americans. But what do you do with the Armenian genocide, which I blogged about today, where 1.5 million Armenians were basically starved and marched to their death, and the Turks refused to even admit that it happened? This is the kind of stuff that's going on. What do we do with the gulags in North Korea? How do we change that? How do you take a madman like the nutcase who's there now, Kim Jong-un, and somehow switch that whole thing around? How do we change the hearts of Muslims gathering in Tehran on Friday, screaming at the top of their lungs, "Death to America, death to Israel"? How do we stop Hamas from educating little kids and telling them that Jews are descendants of pigs and apes? I'm just touching on stuff, and this is what we're up against. And so, I want to believe that, okay, the glass is half full, but I also know that there's a force. It's the Force, Luke. No, there's an entity outside the space-time continuum. Some people call him God. And he knows the end before the beginning before the end, and he says it a priori. He tells us what's going to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have free will. We do. It's just that the analogy I have is this: is a parade going on, okay? We're down. Here comes the Mickey Mouse float. I see the Donald Duck float. Looks pretty cool. The Goofy floats after that, right? So we see a couple of floats. Well, if you're up in a helicopter, you see the whole parade. So whatever going on down below, you just see it from a completely different view. That's the prophetic messages that we have from this book, which is thousands of years old. And now we see many of these prophecies coming to light in the present age that we're in, which I find, first of all, remarkable, second of all, incredibly startling, and third of all, very, very sobering. Because the picture that it paints, the prophetic literature, isn't a happy, rosy, everybody, sits in a nice little picket fence yard with a nice little cozy 3-bedroom house and a dog and 2 kids. That's not what we're looking at. And where we're headed, look, Jimmy, we're in California, and we know we're in a major drought here. Our governor, with all due respect to him, has had years to prepare for this and said he wants to build a highway to God knows where, billions of dollars. Why not create a couple of desalinization plants and cut this thing off on the pass? Is it geoengineering? All I know is that they spray the skies over and over and over and over again with chemtrails on a daily basis. Good Friday, a couple of weeks ago, right? They sprayed like crazy over Los Angeles. Tuesday, we had rain out of nowhere in April. Right. Out of nowhere, this rainstorm comes in. And it wasn't in the forecast before they started spraying. Is it geoengineering? When I was down in Peru, we never saw one chemtrail, not one. They're only up here in the States and over in Europe. Something is going on. So,
well, you know what? I'm gonna jump in, even though it's not really what this show is about. But I still live here in Southern California, and when I know that they passed this measure to build the high-speed train between Southern California and San Francisco, that nobody's going to ride. That baby's going to ride. No, that baby's going to be empty. It's not getting you to San Francisco any quicker than if you just jump in your car and drive, or jump on a Southwest flight and get up there in 20 minutes or whatever it takes for $50. That's the high speed route between LA and Northern California. Yep. So it's this big waste of money, and right now we've got houses without water. Right now families are without water in the Central Valley. Houses that are dry tapped. And why aren't we heading that off at the I say cancel that sucker right now. Drop the $50 billion or whatever they've got allocated for that, and build a couple of desalinization. Because you know what, I'm going to tell you right now, I like my strawberries in winter. You know, I do. I really do. And the rest of the country does too as well. So when you're shopping in a market, right now, you know, in Kansas, in Montana, in upstate New York, in Ohio, in Indiana, and you're in the middle of winter and you're getting those fresh fruits and vegetables, where do you think they come from? That's right. They come from. And if we have a drought, that's going to affect you directly. I cannot believe that this is going on right in front of us and we're allowing it to happen. And I'm talking about the high-speed train.
Look, I get it. But here's the deal. If there's an agenda, if there's a hidden dark agenda, if there's a managed agenda by a group of people, and, you know, we talk about the Illuminati, we talk about, you know, conspiracies. You go back to JFK in Dallas and, you know, and just project from there into 9/11, Building 7 for all you, you know, people that really believe the official government story. Are you kidding me? The Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You know, how many fool me once, right? You know, twice in once, the whole deal. How many times we have to be fooled? Look at Building 7. And this is why over 1,500, we're all over the map tonight, but that's cool. This is why over 1,500 engineers and architects have come together and said, look, buildings don't collapse at free fall speed, period. They don't do that. Not from a fire, ever. It's the first building in history, steel building in modern history, to collapse from a fire. But guess what? It collapses at free fall speed. Buildings do not do that. It's impossible. It's against the laws of physics. That thing was brought down by maybe a particle beam weapon. I don't know. But it was brought down deliberately. All that to say this, Jimmy, we are living in a very dark, secretive time. We really are. There's a very dark agenda. And I know this sounds, you know, incredible conspiratologist, but it is. The fact that these guys are up there spraying and they're doing it constantly. We're looking at geoengineering. And if you create enough of this stuff, especially in California, which is a major breadbasket, the same type of riot that kicked off the Arab Spring can happen in this country. And the Arab Spring was touched off 4 or 5 years ago now because a man could no longer feed his family because food prices went through the roof. And that's what we're looking at here. Yeah, food prices are going through the roof.
You want me to tell you what'll do it for me? Is when I go in the morning to make my coffee and I turn on and I ain't got any water and I'm not brewing coffee, it's going to go down. I'll be the first guy, man. I'll lead that march, and I'm sure you'd be right there with me. And
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, let me get to a couple of questions really quick in Twitter before we start to light up the phones. Okay. We'll do that in a bit. Let me back up here. This came in earlier. What can this comes in from Dandy. What can she do to stop these black shadows following her? What is following her?
She probably needs to talk to me off the air, and I'll give you my my email, which is public, so it's no big secret. la@lamarzulli.net. la@lamarzulli.net. We need to talk about this. There are things she can do. Those are called shadow people. I guarantee that there's a gate or a doorway open in this person's life. She needs to close the door. It could be open through a Ouija board, through a seance, through actually Kundalini yoga, all sorts of different ways. Drugs, pharmakia is a perfect way to do it. Ecstasy, bath salts, even marijuana for some people can act as a catapult and open up that door. And when we open up that door, then the dark, the shadow people come in and start messing with us. And there is a way to close it, and we can do that. Again, shoot me an email at la@lamarzulli.net. I'll probably answer it tomorrow. And but there, you need to close that door. And I just told you, and I'm sure I've hit it on one of those buttons. It also can be, if it's a guy, it can be watching hours of pornography, which certainly opens a person up to all sorts of nonsense. There are many different things that open up doorways to the demonic realm. I've just touched on a few of them. And if any of those things are you, then you need to close the door. And there's a way to do that, and email me and we'll talk about it.
Now, what if it was none of the above?
Then there's still a door open. We need to find out what opened it.
What if, what if I'm a good God-fearing, church-going, well, not even that, but just straight and narrow, just straight and narrow guy like myself. I don't do anything crazy throughout the week, and I behave, and I'm good to my fellow man, and if I see somebody homeless, I'm always forking out money, and not to say that makes me a saint, but I live a good, positive life. I do the right thing every day, but I've got shadow people in my house. What's that an indication of?
Well, it could be that the house is sitting on some sort of burial ground. You may have an object in the house which has an attachment to it. It can be all sorts of stuff, literally. It can be an artifact in the house which has something that's been placed on it. It can be in your genealogical line from an ancestor who, let's say, was involved in Wicca, or let's say was a 33-degree Mason. It can be all sorts of different things. And this is why it's so important to go back and look at all this stuff and close the doors. And that's part of what we do behind the scenes. We help people close the doors.
Do I throw out the Ouija board that I have?
Oh yeah. Like yesterday.
Really? Do you have a Ouija board?
No. Have
you ever messed with one?
Yeah, we did years and years and years ago when I was a teenager, and I'll never forget. 3 of us were playing it up in Cliff's room, and there was a white plaster wall. There was a table next to the white plaster wall. The Ouija board was on it, so it was right next to the wall. Cliff and Michael and me, and so we're like, we're like facing each other, but one guy's facing the wall. I think it was Michael. And basically, as we were doing it, we contacted a being who I now know it was Ashtaroth. That's what his name was. We had never heard that name before. So the demon that came through was called Ashtaroth. And as we began to communicate with this thing, next to us on the wall was a black hole that began to appear on the white plaster wall. And we freaked. We absolutely freaked. And who wouldn't?
Man.
We literally threw the board away, ripped it up, smashed the board, smashed the whole thing, and threw it away.
Does anything ever come good out of a Ouija board? And can you believe you can go to Toys R Us, right?
I know, there it is.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, they don't have I'm surprised they don't have like a pink, the Barbie version. You know what I mean? They're just
actually do have the Barbie version.
Do they really?
They have one for girls. Yeah, it's pink.
This comes in from Dennis. He says this is in the Twitter feed. By the way, if you have any questions, I don't know if we're going to tie this into the Watchers giveaway tonight, though, but some of these are pretty good. If you have any questions for L.A. Marzulli, you can do it on Twitter right now, hashtag F2BQ. That's Fade to Black questions. And they're lining up. I'm going to skip over a couple. This is from Dennis. He says, I've always wanted to ask L.A. what the definition of fallen originated from. Was it sinful, dead, or cast out, or other, or something else?
Say that one more time.
What is the definition of fallen? What did it originate from? Was it sinful, dead, or cast out, or something else?
Well, basically, there was a rebellion. If you're talking about the fallen angelic hosts, there's a rebellion that happens. And look, I don't have all the answers. I've never been to the other side and interviewed some of these guys. Well, what made you do this? We only know from the ancient prophetic biblical text that there was a rebellion, and this entity who was created, the fallen cherub, took about a third of the host of heaven with him. There was an open rebellion against the Most High God. With the source of the rebellion, I believe, was they got tired of worshiping. They said, what do we need to worship for? We are ourselves almost as powerful, and we are eternal beings. And the angelic hosts are eternal. You can't destroy them, unlike human beings. The angelic hosts of heaven are eternal entities. They are created, but they're eternal. And I believe that this led to their pride, which eventually led to their rebellion, which led to their downfall. And this war has been going on in this unseen dimension for literally millennia. My book, The Cosmic Chess Match, addresses all of this in great detail. It goes back into the biblical narrative, but guess what? It then goes into the modern era, our era today. And I start talking about, let's say, the Mayan 2012 prophecies, Edgar Cayce, Nostradamus, Blossom Goodchild. And with all due respect, all of these people that I just mentioned are tapping into something. The question is, how can we ascertain and discern whether the source is malevolent or benevolent of these messages? Is the source of these messages good or evil? That's the whole ball of wax. Until we know that, until a person understands and knows how to vet that and understand, for instance, Edgar Cayce, called the Sleeping Prophet, that right there in the title tells you what he's doing to get the information. He's a trance medium. He's going into a trance. We're told in the guidebook of the supernatural that this is forbidden. The reason why it's forbidden, you're contacting an entity who in this case is fallen, who is way more knowledgeable than Edgar Cayce and can have all sorts of quote unquote wisdom and even healings on some level. But can we trust it? How do we know its origins? And how do we know whether it's benevolent or malevolent? And we're told specifically that this type of trance medium stuff is not allowed, because what happens is that person is allowing an entity from the second heaven to possess them. And guess who's in the second heaven? All the fallen guys.
Okay, we have a couple of $1 million questions then. A couple of $1 million questions. One, fallen angels, E.T., or we're going to stay on this path. Is that what the ancients were seeing? That's the $1 million question. Everything came from the sky. All of the references came,
sky beams.
That's right. So are we dealing with E.T. there? And is the big G himself God? Are we talking about E.T. in general? Those are the $1 million questions. Let's put those straight on the table right now.
Well, here's where I come down with this. The God of the Bible is certainly an extraterrestrial. He's not from here. But according to the biblical narrative, all things were created by Yeshua. He spoke everything into existence. What's interesting is when Ben Stein sits down with Richard Dawkins, and if you have not seen the movie Expelled, run out and rent the thing.
One of the best scenes ever caught on video.
Absolutely. And Ben Stein sits and talks to Richard Dawkins, premier evolutionist of the 20th, 21st century, and says, Richard, where did the first self-replicating molecule come from? Bottom line is Dawkins has no answer. He has no answer. He doesn't know where it came from. And he's right, nor does anyone else. And so Stein throws him sort of an intellectual lifeline and says, well, how did it happen? And Dawkins answered, well, it might have happened this way. And he begins to promulgate, which I call the coming great deception, the alien gospel, stating that long ago in a galaxy far, far away, a race of extraterrestrials created us and then seeded us through the galaxy. That's called panspermia. I've written about this extensively. When they show up, they will say that they are E.T. as our progenitors, that they created all life on this planet, manipulated early man, created the Earth's civilizations, Earth's religions. Now at this critical juncture in human history, E.T. is back to show us into a time of peace, prosperity, and knowledge. That's what's coming. That's future. That's what they will say. And they'll basically everything changes when they show up. So the God of the Bible is outside time and space as we know it. In a classic sense, he is, for all practical purposes, the ultimate extraterrestrial. The fallen, and all we need to do with, this is what's so interesting about when I watch Ancient Aliens, all we need to do is just change a few words. And instead of ancient astronaut theorists, just go, those who believe in the angelic host of heaven. Instead of ancient aliens, it's ancient angelic beings. The two are synonymous. When I sat down with Chase Klodsky, the light bulb went off in her several years back after listening to me, and it dawned on her that wow, the concepts are so close, the paradigms are so close, it's just changing a few words. We're all saying, this is why I say UFOs are real, burgeoning and not going away. While we may disagree as to what is causing the phenomenon, we can agree that it is real, burgeoning, and not going away. We all agree on that, all of us. From everybody from Giorgio Tsoukalos right on down to little old me. We all believe this. But for Chase, it was like a moment of realization where she realized that, oh my gosh, they're not extraterrestrial, they're interdimensional. And the paradigm which seems to point to that, the veracity of that, is the biblical narrative. And that changed her point of view, which I find that's kind of cool.
Is it that every... Okay, I wanted to mention this earlier. when I did the same thing that you, in the same reference that you did, when it came to the Bible, and I was young, I decided to treat it as a novel. Okay, that's what I was going to do. I was just going to read it cover to. I was tired of friends or people quoting from it, and I didn't have any reference. You know what I did? I didn't know what they're.
Sure.
So I spent a summer. I read it 3 times. I got to the end, flipped that baby over, started back Genesis, and read it again and treated it as a novel. And when you look at it like that, it does go hardcore sci-fi, which is where that's where my mind is anyway. So when you look at it like that, is it every reference, back to the beginning of my question, every reference seems to be from a sci-fi mindset. So is it that far of a stretch to look at it in those terms?
Well, when we say sci-fi, it certainly is sci-fi in one aspect of it. But I prefer to call it the supernatural. And that's what is all through that book. You take the supernatural out of the guidebook of the supernatural, and there's nothing left. You got some genealogies and a couple of battle scenes, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and even those are based on supernatural events. Look, the entire planet, the geopolitical scene that we see is a result of supernatural events that happened in some cases millennia ago. I mean, Islam is based on a set of supernatural events that happened 1,300 years ago. The Prophet Muhammad supposedly receiving the Quran from the angel Gabriel. That's changed everything over there. That's what these people believe. The Jews believe in supernatural events that happened 4,000 years ago. Moses and the whole deal from him, the Passover and all that stuff, they still celebrate it. In this country, we believe in Yeshua, the Messiah, who came about 2,000 years ago. All of these supernatural events have colored the body politic everywhere. And then, of course, you've got the ardent Darwinists, like the communists, both in Russia and China. And then we see what happens there, and Ben Stein points this out. That's where the genocide comes from. That's where the Gulag system comes from. Because, see, Christianity is interesting because it says that our rights are God-given. They're not given by the government. They're inalienable. They're in us. They're bestowed upon us by our Creator. That is most Americans don't even understand that because, allowing all these illegals into the country, these people don't have a clue as to why we are where we are, what we believe. We have the rule of law, but we believe that our rights as human beings are God-given, not by the government. Well, when you take God out of the equation, then you wind up with the gulags of Solzhenitsyn and the Soviet era in Russia, and the gulags in North Korea, and the gulags in China right now, where millions of people just die because there is no right or wrong. There's only situational ethics. There is no God. There is no eternity. There is no judgment. There's nothing. It's only the state. And if the state declares that you have no value, you have no value. That's how it works. It's a huge, huge divide between the ideologies. Huge divide. What's
the best example when we look back, not only in the Old Testament or the New Testament, but if you're going to, present some evidence, you're F. Lee Bailey, right? You're throwing some stuff on the table. What's your go-to? What's your go-to example?
Well, in modernity, I would point to the rebirth of the nation of Israel. There are a lot of detractors on that. In fact, just recently, there's more and more detractors trying to tell us that these really aren't the Jews that are back into the homeland. And it's a straw man argument. People can say whatever they want to say. If these aren't the Jews, then we better, evict everyone there and go find the real ones. And of course, when you present it that way, the argument just collapses of its own weight, as my late mentor, Dr. Wayne Kendall, used to say. But the bottom line is this, that Israel was regathered on the birth pains of the Holocaust. And I've addressed all this in the Cosmic Chess Match. Hitler knew exactly what he was doing. If he could wipe out every Jew, prophecy wouldn't be fulfilled. God's a liar, follow me, talking about the fallen cherub. That's what's at stake here. The word Holocaust means a burnt offering on an altar. That's what it means. And Hitler went after the Jewish people, and 6 million. What most people don't understand, most people think there were maybe a couple hundred concentration camps. There were thousands of concentration camps throughout the Third Reich for 5 years. This is how they arrive at the 6 million figure. Thousands of concentration camps. Not 2, not 20, not 300, not 1,000. Thousands of concentration camps. Thousands of concentration camps. And people were rounded up, not only the Jews, but a lot of other people too, were rounded up, 15 million killed in that short stretch of time. The bottom line is, out of the ashes of the Holocaust comes the nation of Israel, which has been prophesied thousands of years ago, certainly by Amos. I just want to read you this because it's just amazing. This thing is a 1,000-year-old prophecy. It's actually older than that. And, here it is. And it basically says, just this last part, and I will plant them, Israel, the Jews, I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith Jehovah. And the bottom line is,
I think we lost L.A. Wow, did we lose L.A.? L.A., are you still there? Okay, let's take a quick break. I'm going to reset with L.A. Let's just do this real quick. Not a problem. I'll reset. I'll do this. This is Fade to Black. KGRA, The Planet, on the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You got to love technology. Tonight, L.A. Marzulli. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren. Wednesday, Dean Haglund of The X-Files. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Are you a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, or UFO skywatcher? If so, FNGinnovations.com has the product you definitely need in your investigations kit or go bag. Introducing the Morpholite Wide Beam Tactical Flashlights that put the light where you need it most. Traditional flashlights shine a focused round beam with limited line of sight in the dark. Morpholite Tactical Flashlights change all that, utilizing a revolutionary wide beam design to enable you to see safety hazards such as hanging wires and steel, pipes, and holes in the floor you just can't see with a focused round beam. In the field, where safety is paramount, a 180-degree beam increases orientation and peripheral vision in the dark. Morpholite flashlights are ideal for investigations in abandoned facilities such as houses and hospitals, factories, caves, and tunnels. Avoid those low-hanging tree branches that poke your eyes in the woods. Visit FNGinnovations.com to see a full line of tactical lights and accessories. That's FNGinnovations.com.
Now you can find all your favorite talk radio shows live, all in one place at TalkStreamLive.com. Listen from anywhere, office, home, or in your car. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com and click on one of the many live talk show hosts you want to listen to. It's free and easy. No computer? Download the smartphone apps. Never miss your favorite talk show. Find them all at TalkStreamLive.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. May arrives soon, and with it comes another Contact in the Desert. So join me in Joshua Tree, California, for the 3rd annual Contact in the Desert Conference, being held May 29th through the 31st. 2015 brings another awesome lineup of speakers, including publisher of Legendary Times, Giorgio Tsoukalos, New York Times bestselling author David Wilcock, journalist and conspiracy expert Jim Mars, former head of UFO Project for the MOD Nick Pope, investigative reporter Linda Moulton Howe, author and contactee Travis Walton, UFO historian Richard Dolan, and many more. You don't want to miss this. Fade to Black and KGRA will be there broadcasting live May 29th. Just visit contactinthedesert.com for tickets and information. That's contactinthedesert.com.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
That's what I get for not muting my microphone during the commercial. This is Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Got some technical issues here. We're trying to get LA back. And we will, trust me, we will. This is Fade to Black. L.A. Marzulli tonight. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren. Wednesday, X-Files actor Dean Haglund will be with us. Yeah, we're trying to raise L.A. We have a few ways to get him back on the line, so one way or another we will. We are giving away tonight a Watchers 1 through 8 box set, and that I wanted to take calls for that. We have all these excellent questions coming in via Twitter, which are great. Stella, which is great. But, I don't know. I think we should do it with calls. Don't you? I'm watching Twitter right now. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And also, I wanted to get to some email, too, as well. Anyway, we are trying to raise L.A. I will do it one more time here. If not, we're going to do the opposite, and I'll bring him in on Hardline, which we have. That's our backup. All right, and that's it. Let's go ahead and open up the phone lines. You know what? Before I do that, let me do this. And let's see, mute. You got to love live radio, right? Okay, so I am going to bring in L.A. now. L.A., we're going analog. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes.
Man, that was strange, man. That was called evil forces.
Very odd. Yeah, very odd. Very strange.
And it just wouldn't reset. And I'm sure you were trying to do the opposite back to me, and I just couldn't pull it up, man. It was just saying.
Yeah.
It was saying denied. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, really weird. Very, very odd.
Yeah, it's
very odd.
That's why we have backups. So now I'm going to go to Twitter, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. But I've got so many questions here, and you're lighting fires, which is your job, and I love it. And I'm going to say, well, L.A., I'm going to say this right now. If my audience, which is your audience, but if my audience agrees with me, then I'm not doing my job. Okay? That's it. This show, the purpose of this show and every guest is to cause people to think. I want people to think. I want them to get angry. I want them to disagree. And I want them to go and research and learn and read. Because if you're sitting here agreeing, check marks. Oh, yeah, I agree. No, that is not what this show is about. We are here to light fires and to cause people to think. And you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, let's go to this from Dan. If there are malicious entities influencing present history, then where are the good entities and what is their involvement? We touched upon that earlier, and then we moved past it. That's a great question. Thank you, Dan.
Well, here's the deal. According to the prophetic writings that are thousands of years old, there's a climax. The thing, in other words, this whole thing comes to a head, comes to a climax. The armies of heaven, the good guys, literally, the cavalry comes riding in. I'm not making this up. Turn to Revelation 19:19 and read that. The armies of heaven come in with the rider on the white horse, and they defeat. It says that the kings of the earth are gathered together, and they are looking up. Not fighting each other. They are looking up into the sky because they know that the rider on the white horse is coming, and they think that they can defeat him. And the rider on the white horse, the good guys, come riding in on the cavalry, and they defeat the fallen angelic hosts, this figure known as the Antichrist, this one-world tyrannical system. You can call it the Illuminati. You can call it whatever you want. I really don't care. But we see its tentacles spreading out throughout the entire world, even as we speak. The good guys show up, but only at the end, only when it seems like, it's like right out of a sci-fi novel, only when it seems like there is no hope, that all is lost. And there's a reason for this, because the Most High God always allows the fallen one to play his hand to the fullest. And then he comes in and does his thing.
Dennis writes on the same point. He says, seems to me if spiritual or alien intervention would indicate a negative reflection of these beings. That's a really good point.
Well, all we need to do is look at the abduction phenomenon. We sort of touched on it, earlier. The bottom line is the guy that we took the implant out was 5 years old when they came for him.
Right.
And, we can tap dance around that all we want to. But the bottom line is what happened to him was horrific, was absolutely horrific. I wish that on no human being at any age, let alone a 5-year-old, where you can't possibly process what's going on.
When we look at the black triangle phenomena that occurs every single day, I've seen my own, and I have a photograph that I have taken. What are we seeing with that? What is it?
Well, it could be a couple of things. It could be one of ours, and this is where it gets into speculation. No one knows for sure. Certainly, some of the black triangles could be experimental aircraft. I get that. But we just saw a photograph that was sent to us. Richard was in Lubbock, Texas, speaking this past weekend. And this woman came up and showed him a photograph. And, Rick first, took it into Photoshop and enhanced it and increased it. At first he thought it was just a lens flare. Guess what? It's not a lens flare. It's definitely a craft. And it looks more like the typical disc-shaped craft that we've seen. No idea of how big it was. For instance, Chase Klodsky, her encounter, which we talk about in Watchers 8, that craft was a boomerang shape. It was very large. Phoenix Lights, over a mile wide. Ricky Sorrell, who I interviewed in Further Evidence, a fantastic interview. Stevensville Lights. I mean, I was one of the few people to get a hold of him and get him to come in on the record with me. And I sent him books and called him numerous times. He would tell me, "Oh, you're not going to believe this. There's last night the black helicopters were over the house. All my phone lines tapped. Oh, I was greeted at work and told to lay off talking about it." I mean, I lived this with him for an extent. I mean, certainly nothing, on a day-by-day basis. But when I would call him, he'd give me an update, and it was just startling. Like, he's out there deer hunting, and he looks up, and he all of a sudden he sees this craft, and he looks around, and he can't see the edge of the thing. Mile wide, 2 mile wide, no one knows. Bowers, the airplane pilot who was piloting an airplane across the English Channel, 14 people in his plane. There's another plane a short distance away. They both sight and talk about it. Radar sights it, mile-wide craft, actually 2 mile wide craft. And Bowers just comes on the record, which is really rare for a pilot to do, because when you do that, you basically are jeopardizing your career. But Bowers has flown this thing for 14 years. He knows what he saw, as did all the other people on the plane. Every one of them but 2 people, a husband and wife, refused to comment on it for fear of ridicule. But the husband and wife supported Bowers as well as the radar did, and they said, "Look, we saw a craft, and this thing went invisible on us. We watched it disappear." I mean, the technology that's used is Dr. David Jacobs calls it future physics. And that's exactly what it is. It is future physics. It's something that's so far beyond us. Stanton Friedman's analogy of the nuclear submarine, if you could take that nuclear sub in modernity and then somehow transport it back to Christopher Columbus, they wouldn't have the slightest clue as to how any of it worked. They wouldn't have any idea. Well, that's what we are. We look at these implants, according to some people, they've got double-walled carbon nanotubes in them. We see things which look like ganglia, for lack of a better word. It's meteorite metal. There's a cloaking substance which goes over the implant. I mean, who's making these things, and for what? Why doesn't the body expunge them? Why is it that sometimes they travel underneath the skin? Are you kidding me? High strangeness.
What about the black-eyed children too, as well? Is there a connection with this phenomena? And if you do get a knock at your door or a knock on your car window, do you let them in? Would you? No, absolutely not. Not under any circumstances do you let them in. Everyone, there's only one, according to David Weberly. I'm back on Skype, I think. Let's see. Oh. I shut my computer and rebooted it down, so I don't know. I'm on. You can try Skype if you want. Okay.
But
well,
I was able to log on.
Okay.
We can stay with this.
Okay. Well, we can do this, and we'll take a break here in a second. Plus, we're going to open up the phone lines anyway. And you sound...
You never let the black-eyed kids in. The one encounter that David Weberly talked about, where the little boy in the back of the van let the kid in.
Right.
It was horrific. The family was constantly being harassed for a good season of time. And the church they were at finally fasted and prayed, and that's what broke it. Interesting.
Calls are now starting to back up. You know what? I opened my mouth. Let's go ahead and do it. You ready? Let's give away this. DVD set. I told everybody, bring your A game. Bring your A game. Let's go to the first caller. Hi, who's calling? Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Okay, you got 2 seconds.
Who, me?
Yes. Bring your A game. Who's calling?
This is Tammy. My A game would be, all right, L.A., you talked about religion. Why doesn't religion follow its own rules that they taught us since we were in Sunday school about following the 10 Commandments when they've themselves committed more murders under the name of religion than anyone else has?
I concede the point. You're right. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the supernatural. Religion is the gobbledygook of men who create exactly what you said. It's indefensible. Dr. Roger Leary used to come to me. You know, he was Jewish. He knows I'm a pastor, okay? And he would come to me, he would sit down at lunch, and halfway through the lunch, he'd throw me something like this. Well, what about the nuns that get pregnant and kill their babies? And I sit there and go, Roger, it's indefensible. It's wrong.
Oh, man, I didn't just do that. I didn't just do that. I did. Just so everybody knows, I was bringing in the next caller. And, okay, the call got dropped. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring in L.A. right now. Here we go. Are you there, L.A.? L.A., you're live.
No. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we got you. We got you.
My phone got dropped. So
yeah, that's okay. Now you're. We've got you back. Hi, caller. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli.
Hi, L.A. This is Fran.
Hi, Fran. Bring your A game tonight. Bring your A game.
Well, the only real question I have is, what about those of us who do not believe in the God of the Bible?
Well, okay. Clarify.
Or probably any gods at all.
Okay.
So how do you explain everything that's going on in our terms?
Well, I can't. That's part of the problem. That's what I find so fascinating. You know, look, this is just something for you to think about. Don't believe in the God of the Bible. Be a skeptic. That's good. That's healthy. But when you begin to study the prophetic literature, that can turn your head around because it points to something outside space-time as we know it. That's what it points to. Somebody knows the future and says it and utters it and writes it down with pinpoint accuracy and great specificity. Check that out. Come in with an open mind. Just look at the thread of prophecy from Genesis to Revelation. It's there. And that's mind-blowing. I mean, that's what turned me around, quite frankly. That's what turned me around.
And see, I already did that.
Okay.
Probably 40 years ago. And I agree. The prophecy stuff sounds very probable and legit. But, you know, there's so many things wrong that goes on in especially the Old Testament. And then the New Testament trying to lighten things up, saying, oh, Jesus was the fulfillment. Prophecy stuff.
I'm sorry. Hey, caller, turn down your radio. Turn down your radio.
Mine
there
is
you go.
Down. It's muted.
Yeah. No, not you, Fran. The other, I've got calls backed up.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Fran, thank you for the call. And yours was atheist. I'm going to just...
Fran, let's say this. Fran, shoot me an email with your email on it, la@lamarzulli.net. I want to give you a free book
I want to give you the Cosmic Chess Match. I think you'll find it really interesting. I think it will answer some of the questions that you just posed, which we don't have time to get into. Shoot me your address, and I'll send you the Cosmic Chess Match for free.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Fran.
Okay. Thank you, L.A. I appreciate that.
Fran.
Thank you, Jimmy.
You got it, Fran. All the best.
Bye.
Hi, caller. You're live. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Who's calling?
Hey, L.A. Marzulli, Jimmy Church. It's Jubu. Okay, so...
Who is it?
Jubu.
Spell it.
Jubu.
Jubu. We need this officially, man. We're giving away the Watcher's box set. Okay, Jubu, what's your question?
All right, so basically so we know that there's hundreds of billions of star systems in our galaxy. We know there's hundreds of billions of galaxies in our supercluster. We know there's hundreds of billions of superclusters in our universe, basically. So, like, from all of that, I mean, is it that you don't believe that there are extraterrestrials, or is it that, I mean, it's just that it paints a kind of monolithic picture that these are all fallen angels. It's like, what is the, what does the chessboard look like?
That's a great question. If we are in a holographic universe, which some string theorists believe, then all bets are off. If this is essentially a very advanced holodeck, as it were, then where are we really? And we know this. I don't pretend to understand it, but we know this because we can only go down so far. I think it's 10 to the minus 32nd, and then after that, the thing that we're dividing ceases to exist. We know from quarks they can be in in different molecules can be in like two places at once. It's very, very weird. It's very, very strange. If we are in a holographic universe, as it were, it explains a whole lot of things, how these extra entities can come in and manipulate time, space, matter, and energy. And that's what they do. These entities, when they show up, just look at the abduction phenomena for a second. Let's not put any label on it. Let's just call them entities. Let's not say, extraterrestrials, fallen angels. We'll just leave that out of the equation. What they do is manipulate time, matter, energy, everything. They just do it with ease. It's incredible.
Thank you, Jubu, for the call. You're in the running here. Let's keep it going. Let's bang the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Who's calling?
Hi, this is, first of all, hi, L.A. It's great to be talking to you. I'm Mark from Gilbert, Arizona.
Hey, Mark. How you doing, man?
Hey, Mark. Bring your A game.
I got it. I've got a philosophical question, and we can assume that these, my question has more to do with the war in heaven story. Okay. And can we assume that these people who were against God, shall we say, were certainly intelligent and knowing beings, and in that respect, could we assume that they're also aware of the prophecy that ultimately they will lose? And in that respect, would it stand to reason that these intelligent beings why would they do it in the first place? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
That's an incredibly complex question, which would take hours to answer, and I'm not trying to duck it. That's why I wrote the book, The Cosmic Chess Match, because I actually answer much of what you asked in that three-part question. The bottom line is, yes, the fallen one knows prophecy. Yes, he can read the book, which is why when he's kicked out of the second heaven, which is where you go when you use the Ouija board, by the way,
right.
He's really ticked off because he knows his time is short. He's kicked back down to Earth, and he can't leave anymore. He's stuck in our space-time domain, and boy, is he angry. But he knows what's coming. Yeah, he absolutely knows what's going on. He can read just like we can. And so he knows his doom is sealed at some level. He knows he lost everything at the cross 2,000 years ago. What's interesting is, again, and I talked about this in the very beginning, the rebellion came because they believed that they no longer needed to worship at all, that they believed that they, in fact, wanted to be worshipped, which is what we see all over the planet in these ancient megalithic sites, where an entity comes and sets up a
a civilization with advanced technology, and they are worshipped as gods. We see it over and over and over again. It's a worldwide occult paradigm.
Let's go to the next caller. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Who's calling?
Hi, it's Carol calling from Alberta.
Hi, Carol. What have you got tonight? How you doing, first off? What have you got for L.A.? Bring your A game.
Okay. L.A., I have a question for you. I have two questions. It's hard to get a hold of your books and your movies in Canada. I don't know why. They don't have them at the libraries. They don't have them at the bookstores. But possibly I can get them through your website. Question number two, do you think that maybe that the guys that are twisting this, like whoever they are, the bad guys, they're trying to get us all to believe in a collective consensus reality? The more we believe that they're stronger, the stronger they are. But the more we believe that we have our own inner strength, the stronger we are.
First of all, you can get the books by just going to the website, books and DVDs, lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net. Secondly, if you've ever had to deal with any of these entities, you will see that you have nothing of your own strength. And I say that from experience. And it's very unsettling when you have to go up against them. Very unsettling. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not something I rejoice in. But from time to time, I am forced to go into a battle stance. And what basically thwarts them is prayer. And that might sound, what do you mean prayer? Well, you put on the armor of God, and we begin to petition. And sometimes that petition, that prayer, will go on for hours and hours and hours, even while I'm working. Behind the scenes, I'm still throwing out stuff because I have to. I have to defend myself. And that's what we're up against. I mentioned this earlier when Paul, the apostle 2,000 years ago, is talking about Ephesians. There's the people who lived in this city called Ephesus. And he says, look, our weapons aren't carnal. We got to put on the whole armor of God. He tells us to put on the armor of God. And unless we know what that is, we can't come against these entities in our own strength. We can't do it. Trust me, we can't do it. Out of all the people who have been abducted I've talked to, they try to fight them. They try everything in the book, and they can't stop it. But there's one name that when they utter it, it does stop the abduction. And we've documented that. And people like Joe Jordan have written books about it and documented it as well. So, a lot of people will poo-poo that and say it's religion. It's not religion. Religion is what we see on Christian TV with all the hucksters asking for your money. It's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about interfacing with the supernatural, because that's what it is. We're interfacing with the supernatural, which can be incredibly damaging as well as incredibly enlightening. But there's a balance there.
Did you just say the word huckster? Okay, let's take a break. Caller, stay on hold. Stay with us. Everybody that is on hold, stay right there. This is Fade to Black tonight. L.A. Marzulli taking your calls, giving away a Watchers DVD box set. 323-825-5045. Bring your A game. We'll be back right after this short break.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Are you a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, or UFO skywatcher? If so, FNGinnovations.com has the product you definitely need in your investigations kit or go bag. Introducing the Morpholite Wide Beam Tactical Flashlights that put the light where you need it most. Traditional flashlights shine a focused round beam with limited line of sight in the dark. Morpholite Tactical Flashlights change all that, utilizing a revolutionary wide beam design to enable you to see safety hazards such as There's hanging wires and steel, pipes, and holes in the floor you just can't see with a focused round beam. In the field, where safety is paramount, a 180-degree beam increases orientation and peripheral vision in the dark. Morpholite flashlights are ideal for investigations in abandoned facilities such as houses and hospitals, factories, caves, and tunnels. Avoid those low-hanging tree branches that poke your eyes in the woods. Visit fnginnovations.com to see a full line of tactical lights and accessories. That's fnginnovations.com.
Now you can find all your favorite talk radio shows live, all in one place at TalkStreamLive.com. Listen from anywhere, office, home, or in your car. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com and click on one of the many live talk show hosts you want to listen to. It's free and easy. No computer? Download the smartphone apps. Never miss your favorite talk show. Find them all at TalkStreamLive.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. May arrives soon, and with it comes another Contact in the Desert. So join me in Joshua Tree, California, for the 3rd annual Contact in the Desert Conference being held May 29th through the 31st. 2015 brings another awesome lineup of speakers, including publisher of Legendary Times, Giorgio Tsoukalos, New York Times best-selling author David Wilcock, journalist and conspiracy expert Jim Marrs, former head of UFO Project for the MOD Nick Pope, investigative reporter Linda Moulton Howe, author and contactee Travis Walton, UFO historian Richard Dolan, and many more. You don't want to miss this. Fade to Black and KGRA will be there broadcasting live May 29th. Just visit contactinthedesert.com for tickets and information. That's contactinthedesert.com.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Fade to Black, the Monday edition. Tonight, L.A. Marzulli giving away a Watchers 1 through 8 box set that was just released to the best question of the night. 323-825-5045. Calls are backed up. I get that. Keep calling. We'll get to everybody. Let's go straight back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli.
Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Ellie.
Who's calling?
This is Andy.
All right,
this
Andy.
Is Andy.
All right, Andy.
No, Dan D.
Oh, I got
Dan
you.
D.
I got you, Dan.
Dan Dykema.
All right, bring your
Jimmy,
A game. Bring your A game,
Jimmy,
Andy.
well, before I do, Jimmy, I wanted to tell you that you were good on Hangar One, but I kind of like Melissa Butter. Sorry.
Oh, she's a lot better looking than my fat face.
Anyway, I wanted to talk some more about these shadow people because I don't think they are evil, and it seems to me that like they're looking for something or trying to check something.
Is that your question?
My question is, why does he think they're evil?
Ah, great question. Thank you, Dandy. You're in the running.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead, L.A.
It's pretty straight ahead, isn't it? It's
Hi.
Hold on, caller. Hold on.
A few calls back, I forget which person it was. It was a woman, I believe it was a woman who talked about, how do I get rid of the shadow people? How do I get rid of them? So for her, it's certainly not a pleasurable experience. It's probably one of fear. There's an open gate, open doorway, which we talked about earlier, that she needs to close. And look, anybody I've ever talked to that's had experiences like this, the terror level is through the roof. And that's not a good thing. I mean, to be terrorized like that is not a good thing. So shadow people, and I realize I'm painting with a sort of a broad brush here, but I can do that, I think, because of the people that I've spoken to. Navajo elders, which I've spoken to, talk about shadow people and seeing things like this. Talking about skinwalkers. It's all related. And it's not a good thing, in my opinion.
Who's calling? Say hi to L.A. Marzulli.
Hi, this is Kathy from upstate New York.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kathy from upstate New York. Bring your A game. What do you got?
What have I got? L.A., are you familiar with the Elijah list?
Yes.
The other day, they had a prophecy saying that many, many whistleblowers will be released and brought forth. My question is, and Jimmy, how are you and the alternative spokespeople going to handle so many whistleblowers that it'll be a game changer?
Wow. Okay.
I think that we're seeing the rise of whistleblowers, certainly the WikiLeaks and everything with it that's happening. I think if the American people ever decided to actually wake up and see what's really going on, that can be certainly a game changer. Everywhere I go, and I travel fairly extensively to different places and speak a lot to a lot of different people, there's an uneasiness pretty much everywhere. There's an uneasiness. People know that it's not right. And that's what attracts people to these conferences, because they know it's like right out of the Matrix. You know, something is nagging you, and you know that something is wrong, but you're not sure what it is. You know, take the blue pill, take the red pill, that whole deal. But it's true. People can sense intuitively and intellectually that something isn't right, that things are not, it's not business as usual, which is an expression I use a lot in our Watchers series. But it's true. It's not business as usual. So I think that the rise of the whistleblowers, the rise of the watchmen and watchwomen that are out there is a fantastic thing. Bring it on. The more people that begin to point out what's going on, the better. Maybe more people will begin to awaken from the slumber, from the sleep that they've been in, and start tuning in to shows, frankly, like this, which are bringing alternative news and alternative discussion to the masses, and that's what we need.
Hey, Kathy, thank you. Great call. You're in the running.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Have a good night. Hi, you're live on Faded Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. L.A., you should be like a late-night FM radio guy, because you could do it. This is L.A. Marzulli. Next up, the Eagles, Hotel California. Hi, you're live on Faded Black. Say hi to L.A. Bring your A game.
Hello, L.A. Marzulli. This is K28.
How you doing, man?
Hey, Kate.
Hi. I want to open your mind a little bit. A little while ago, you mentioned the great kings coming back led by a white horse. Well, what if those great kings are the old Greek gods of old mythology? What if they're coming back again, and they're here to reset the earth and save everybody?
You know what? Well, I want to talk about that for a few minutes. Thank you, Kay. That's a great question.
Great question. Basically, the rider on the white horse is Yeshua. It says very specifically who the rider on the white horse is and who the armies of heaven are. So it's not the Greek pantheon. And by the way, the Greek pantheon, a strong case can be made that the Greek pantheon are, in fact, the fallen angelic host, and that someone like Hercules is, in fact, a Nephilim. I'm not the first person to come up with this. Chuck Missler talked about it. Before him, Dr. I.D. Thomas. Before him, G.H. Pember in the 19th century. So this has been bandied about by other people, pointing back to the Greek mythos and saying that it was rooted in the Genesis 6 account of the fallen angelic host of heaven creating these so-called demigods, basically the Nephilim.
What, dealing with this, when we're talking about things in broad strokes, all of the different religions, well, what about the Romans and the Greeks and the pagan stuff out of the UK and Western Europe? What about all of that? Doesn't that come into play too? Could that have been an ET reference for all of them?
Well, here's the deal. All of these entities that show up, like Quetzalcoatl, for instance.
Right.
A perfect example. And I'm working on a book on this, which probably will come out maybe 2016, maybe 2017. There's a couple of things in the pipeline that will precede it. But there seems to be a worldwide occult paradigm which is promulgated. For instance, how is it that the shaman in Australia goes essentially to the same place as the shaman in Africa? How is that possible? Or South America? When what's his face? Oh, come on. The Supernatural book, Graham Hancock. In his book, The Supernatural, he's taking ayahuasca, and he's freaked out because he gets up there and he goes, wait a minute, I'm seeing grays. This is like all the UFO stuff. What are these guys doing here? It's like he's like, huh? And then he makes a statement which is very telling. And I agree with him wholeheartedly that these entities seem to be obsessed with our reproduction. They want to mate with us. And this goes back to the Genesis 3 narrative, which states, remember, thousands of years old this text is. It says, the seed of the serpent will be an enmity with the seed of the woman. This is exactly what we see in modernity with the abduction phenomenon. It's exactly what we see in antiquity with the Genesis 6 account where the Nephilim roam the earth. And guess what? We've uncovered evidence, what we believe is physical evidence, right out here on Catalina Island, right outside of Los Angeles. Now, are they Nephilim? I can't prove that, but I can show you a skeleton of 2 9-footers that we found out there, and we had the photograph analyzed by 3 different people with different computer programs, and all of them put that skeleton at around 9 feet. So it fits the biblical narrative of a Nephilim in this diaspora happening about 3,500 years ago.
And yeah, it is. And also, when you look at the Greek mythology and narrative and the Romans too as well, everything was above us. And I don't think that is a stretch. I think that they were trying to convey exactly what they were seeing and what they were communicating with.
Yes, and remember, all the Greek pantheon, they want to be worshipped. Quetzalcoatl wants to be worshipped. You know, the Hopi, the god that falls down and dictates the whole thing. I forget his name. I can't pronounce it. Well, you know, wants to be worshipped. All these entities. Look at the entity at Teotihuacan who builds this incredible city. Where does that knowledge come from? Or the knowledge, let's say, that like we see in Corral, which I've been to. I've been to both of these places. And the similarities between Teotihuacan in Mexico and Corral in Peru are startling. And we see this culture that has advanced engineering, advanced mathematics, astronomy, alignment, precession, building techniques. There's no culture which predates it. It just, poof, here we are. They get the stuff from somewhere. There's a source which is giving this information. Guess what? The Book of Enoch tells us exactly that this happened during the first incursion with the 200 watcher angels that descended in the days of Jared on Mount Hermon and started all the mischief, mating with the women, which then created the hybrid race of the Nephilim. The Book of Enoch, not part of our canon, the biblical canon, but quoted many times.
Well, should it? Well, and should it be? Should it be part of it?
Well, that's a hot button issue.
Yes, it is. That's why I'm asking you.
Very much so. I reference it constantly.
Yes,
and I get into a lot of trouble for referencing it. There's a book called the Sefer Bible, which is a brand new Bible that was. They gave me one. The publishing house gave me one. I find it very interesting because it talks about the Aleph Tav being used all throughout the Tanakh, the Old Testament, all through Scripture. And unfortunately, in our modern Bibles, that's been eliminated. And it talks about what the Aleph Tav is, but that's a 3-hour discussion. What's interesting is it includes the pseudepigraphical Book of Enoch. The King James 1611 version also had the Apocrypha in it. And due to publishing costs, they eliminated the Apocrypha in later editions. But the original edition of the King James had the Apocrypha in it. The Book of Enoch has fallen in and out of favor for the last, several thousand years. It actually predates the Book of Genesis in the Ethiopian Bible. This is where I'm at with it, Jimmy. We can at least appreciate its historicity. If nothing else, we can appreciate its historicity. And I'll leave it at that.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Who's calling?
Hey, this is Josh from Texas.
Hey, Josh in Texas. Are you bringing your A game?
I hope so. I'm just tuned in a little while ago, man. I'm a fan of Elon's. I watched a lot of his work, and I just was kind of curious. I probably missed it, but I was wondering about out there on Catalina Island about there was I was having some kind of issue with the skeletons, the remains out there, and it's kind of what was going on with that.
All right, Josh. Actually, I was going to go back to this too.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You're going to take your question off the air?
Listen. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
You got it, Josh.
Thank you.
You know what? There's been a lot going on out there at Catalina Island for a long time. What was what was the name of the guy that dug up the bones?
Ralph Glidden.
Yeah, Ralph Glidden, and he had his museum out there, and he certainly wasn't hiding it, and he was advertising. He wanted people to come and see it, and he just got shut down. So what is the story behind that?
Well, I just posted a picture on our Skype, and I was just out on Catalina. We were filming some stuff for Watchers 9 out there, and we had access to the museum. By the way, I'll give them a plug. The new museum will open up shortly, and that's going to be a real treat. But the Catalina Museum, as it is now, it's well done, really well done. But the picture that I posted right now on our Skype chat shows Ralph Glidden standing in a recently excavated grave, and in front of him is a very large skeleton. When I was just out on Catalina, and I'm not making this up, you see where Ralph Glidden's feet are?
Yes.
As he's standing, just a little bit below that, the picture was cropped. It's shown in the museum, but the picture has been deliberately cropped. And when we spoke to the powers that be there, we were told that that's the picture that they received. Well, in the archives that I was allowed to look at, I have the original picture. That photograph, which I just posted for you, which is the one that I gave to the Vieira brothers, and the History Channel flew the Vieira brothers out to Catalina, and it makes them look like they discovered the picture. No. I discovered the picture, and I sent it to Jim, and then Jim showed it to the people in the History Channel. We did the analysis on the picture. That, my friend, is a 9-foot skeleton in front of Ralph Glidden. That picture has been cropped in the Catalina Museum. It's there, but the skeleton below Ralph Glidden is not there. They cropped the picture. That is deliberate. That's an agenda, absolutely all day long, because it shows us that, first of all, it goes back and it validates the Native American oral tradition, which talks about this race of giants that were here all through the Americas, from New Hampshire out to Catalina Island. They were everywhere. All the tribes talk about this. Chief Joseph Riverwind, who's a friend, and he'll be speaking with us at the Nephilim Mountain 3 conference in September in Ohio, along with Russ Dizdar. He's going to talk about all this stuff. I mean, I've interviewed him for On the Trail too. That's what we're looking at. And it's interesting how this picture is cropped. Why can't the American people see it? What are they afraid of? And the excuse I got was, well, they didn't want to show too many skeletons. Baloney. There were pictures of skeletons all throughout that exhibit, except the skeleton that would show a race of giants eliminated. That's deliberate, my friends. That's deliberate.
When I'm looking at this, it's posted in Twitter. Everybody can look at. Go follow us on Twitter right now at Church Radio #F2B. You can see the picture. I'm looking at this here now, all kidding aside, I want everybody to understand exactly what I'm looking at. First off, this head is about the size of a beach ball. The skull. That's the first thing that strikes me about this. Huge. But I'm looking at the legs, and when you're looking at the shin and the thigh bone here, that shin is about the size of Glidden's leg. You know what I mean? And you can see
it's a really big guy.
I'm not sure if 9 foot is tall enough. It looks bigger. Do you have any idea how tall Glidden was?
We know exactly how tall he was. He was 5 foot 8 inches tall.
So if he's 5'8" and you stretch this guy out here, you're looking at 9 or 10 feet.
Yeah, exactly. we were really conservative. And this picture, by the way, is in the book On the Trail of a Nephilim, Volume 2. This is what's so important about this information, Jimmy. It's like I'm out in the field digging this stuff up, literally, and then you get somebody like the History Channel, that come out and make it look like the Vieira brothers discovered it. With all due respect to Jim and his brother, who are great guys, but, they didn't discover it. This is my intellectual property. I'm the guy that discovered it, and they had me on the show. I got to talk about it. So we made, we all made up, group hug, everything's cool, no animosity, but it's my intellectual property. I'm the guy that got wind of it. I'm the guy that flew out to Catalina, spent $1,000 to gain access, and spent 10 hours in the archives going over everything that Glidden had. And I discovered not only that photograph, but there are 3 other photographs which are included in the book, which are absolutely mind-boggling.
Okay, well, here it is. Where is this skeleton now?
Gone. No one knows. Gone.
No
one knows.
Who's the culprit?
There's a couple of things. According to the last curator that was at the museum, John Borgina, apparently many of the artifacts were loaded into one ship, which sank in a storm in the Channel Islands. So that's very convenient. But all this was done when Glidden was employed by the High Museum. The High Museum was later gobbled up by, drumroll please, the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right, I'm gonna keep the phone lines open. We have enough for maybe 2 more calls if you want to get in the running for the Watchers 1 through 8 box set, new release. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in Fade to Black 14. By the way, you can go to lamarzulli.net and everything is there. And Carol was also referencing having a hard time getting your books up there in Canada. But you know what? Surprise, there's a new thing that's called the internet. And
there you go. There you
go. Which is the beauty of this show, too, as well. Okay, so I've now opened up the phone lines once again, 323-825-5045 for the Watchers 1 through 8 box set. Okay, while I'm opening up the phone lines, a couple of questions that came in via Twitter. I want to get these in. L.A., thank you for lighting the fires tonight. That's exactly what I love about you, man. Okay. Yeshua Jehovah wants to be worshipped. So what's the difference between him and all of these pagan gods? He's just as bad. That is from Cortana.
Well, again, if you send me an email with your name and address on it, I will send you the book, The Cosmic Chess Match. And you need to read that and sort through it and then come to your own conclusion. When you ask a question like that, I'm not ducking it. It's the answer to that is a very long, involved answer, but there is an answer to it, and we don't have time to get into that tonight. But that's why I'll send you free the Cosmic Chess Match. You shoot me your address, and I'll send you a free book.
Hi, caller. You're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. I dropped, and let's see if I can bring it back in here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Who's calling?
Hello, L.A. Marzulli and Jimmy. This is Sal from Western New York. I have a question. You've been talking about prophecy and all that, and I'm just interested in Mr. Marzulli's thoughts on the miracle at Fatima.
Oh, great question. Thank you, Sal.
Okay.
Well, Fatima is a very interesting, very complex deal. For those of you in the audience who don't know about it, 1917, 3 children had an encounter with an entity. And this went on for months, on the 13th of the month. And finally, the people, the magistrates and the governors and of the town and, mayors and priests and everything else said, we want a sign. And so they went back to the entity and the entity said, look,
hello.
On October 13th, there'll be a sign. 70,000 people are standing in the field. On October 13th, it's raining. There was a cross-section of humanity. The apparition was supposed to be there at noon. It's an hour late. It shows up at 1 o'clock. The accounts from that day talk about a dull silver disc dancing in front of the sun. Witness after witness. Remember, in 1917, there's no word UFO or flying saucer in the lexicon. Those won't be added till the middle of the 20th century, specifically after World War II. Foo Fighters, none of those there. Witness after witness looked up and say, we saw a dull silver disc. I addressed this in great detail, much more detail than I'm talking about now, in the book Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural, and I think I've touched on it a little bit, in the Cosmic Chess Match. But the bottom line is, I do not believe that it was the Mary of the Bible. I do not believe that for a minute.
Do you think it was E.T.?
I come to call it a harbinger of deception. That's what I call it, a harbinger of deception.
And what do you mean by that?
It's a dry run. In other words, 70,000 people have their paradigm completely overturned in a short period of time. 70,000 people are bowled over by what they see. Recently, in 2009, in Cairo, at a Coptic church, an apparition was appearing at night and did so for several weeks. Muslims and Christians would gather together and watch the apparition appear and disappear. The mayor was so freaked out, he had all the electricity turned off to make sure it wasn't being hoaxed. It wasn't a hoax. It was the supernatural manifesting. I call that a harbinger of the coming great deception. This is what's coming. Unless we know what it is we're looking at, unless we understand how the supernatural paradigm works. Remember, Yeshua warns us 2,000 years ago, even the elect will be deceived if that were possible. Very dire words, very sobering words, pointing to an event that's coming that even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. So whatever is coming is unbelievable, is off the charts. Fatima was a harbinger of it. The Coptic Church incident in 2009, you can Google both of those, especially the Coptic Church thing. Just Google Marian Apparition 2009 Coptic Church. You'll see it for yourself. It's not Photoshop. It's the real deal. And it's film. So it's the real deal. We vetted it. I show the clip when I'm speaking at places. These are what I would call harbingers of the coming great deception.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to L.A. Marzulli. Who's calling? Bring your A game.
Captain Church, it's Stallone from Boston.
Oh, hey, Stallone.
Marzulli.
How are you? Say hi to L.A.
L.A., it's a pleasure to talk to you.
How you doing, man?
All right. So I have an off-topic question. I'm not trying to stump you or anything or something I could find in your literature. But if you were walking down the street and you saw a coin, like a cent, a penny, would you pick it up? And if you picked it up, would you feel embarrassed?
If I was walking down the street and saw a coin, would I pick it up and do what with it?
Keep it.
Would you pick it up? And if you did pick it up, would you feel embarrassed if somebody's seeing you picking up a penny?
No.
No. I pick them up all the time.
I wouldn't. No.
Yeah, I never leave change on the table.
You'd be surprised how many people are embarrassed.
And why do you think that? You may win the box set because that might be the best question of the night.
Because to be honest with you, I pick them up too, and if people are around, I'm kind of embarrassed, but I do it anyway.
And why is that? Why do you think that, Stallone?
I have no clue.
Yeah, that's a wow. Oh, Stallone. Yeah, you did bring your A game. You did bring your A game. So, LA, you don't have issues picking up change?
None.
Now, what do you what a great question. Do you ever look to see if it's heads or tails?
No.
Me personally, I haven't.
I do.
I'm going to start doing that now.
That's a great question. All right, L.A., I'll throw this one out there to you, and Stallone, and callers that are calling in. Just stay right there. We'll get to you. You're standing in line to pay for gas. Person in front of you drops a $20 bill. It floats down behind him. He doesn't notice it. It's in between you and him. Nobody else sees that $20 bill. What do you do?
I did it right back.
Yeah.
I've done this before.
Yeah, not even a question.
Yeah. I was in back of somebody. This is about 10 years ago, and I'm serious. It was folded up in fours, right? You know what I mean? So it was, you know what I mean? And it hit the ground so hard that I knew it was money. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? It didn't float down. You know what I mean? And for a second, I'm looking, and I look around, and nobody else, and I'm like, you know what? And this guy takes a step forward. He's paying for his gas. I bend down, and I pick it up. It's 2 20s and 100.
Wow.
And I tap this guy. This guy's paying for his gas. He doesn't even know that he's dropped, and he's paying for his gas in cash. And I tap him on the shoulder. And he had a kid with him, too, son, child. And I tapped him on his shoulder. And he didn't see it. And he's wondering why I'm tapping his dad on the shoulder. And I said, dude, you dropped this. Oh, man, I just cashed my check. Oh, thank you. And yeah. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking by it. I'm sticking to it. Yeah, Stallone, great question, man. You're definitely in the running. I'm not sure where that was coming from, but I think he was testing your. Well, where is the question coming from? Actually, Stallone.
Oh, it's just something I noticed.
Yeah, that's
about myself.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. That's a great question.
Wondering how other people feel about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let's keep moving. We have time for one more call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, thanks for taking the call. My name's Keith. Hi, LA. Thank you.
How you doing?
I was wondering how you felt about the Transfiguration and this idea or concept in Christianity that Jesus sort of transformed himself into a body of light, and also Moses coming down from the mountain was shown so brightly, they put a cloth over him. And then I figured you'd be comfortable with that. And if you bounce it over to sort of Tibetan thinking about the rainbow body, there's plenty of literature out there of other people who have also transformed into bodies of light, either at death or even prior to death. So this is a human potential. This is something that all human beings are heading towards. It's a gradual evolution of humankind. And when you talk about everything being sort of evil or a deception, I think of all the literature, near-death experience about people who have encountered all kinds of positive people, beings, angels, angelic, their own relatives and so on, and they come back. What's the guy's name? Ethan Alexander or something like that? Just wrote a book about that. He was a surgeon. And, and the other thing is not all entities want to have sex with humans. I think of Finhorn, and there's other examples in America. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, in Michigan. But they were like dealing with entities and divas and little beings that were tilling the land with them or working with them and caretaking this planet. So there's plenty of other non-physical beings and this concept of rainbow light that humans, us, potentially interact with on a daily basis if we want to, and they're not all evil. And this idea of Tupla, which is sort of Alexander David now, this idea of a mind creation by a human being of a negative entity, those kinds of forces do antagonize people. So then they also take on their own consciousness. Such as in the Conjuring of Philip is another classic example of that, where they created Philip, and then Philip took on its own personality and became actually troublesome. So oftentimes when people put negativity around themselves and they think everything is negative, that's what they're going to attract. And there's plenty of literature and plenty of people out there who are interacting with ethereal realms that are positive. And, quantum mechanics is clearly saying there's at least 26 dimensions. And this idea of a rainbow of light, though, is what I'd like you to address. Thank you so much, and I'll hang up.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, again, this is a very complex question, and I agree with you. Not everything is evil. I don't want to try to paint it that. That's the whole idea of the rider on the white horse coming back with the armies of heaven. But we talked about this in the beginning of the show, that if mankind is evolving, if we're getting better, which is what I think that's kind of what you're putting forth, that we track all this positive energy, and if we just think good thoughts, that this is what's going to manifest. But that's not what we see on the planet. What we see is exactly the opposite. We see the planet in the throes of this cataclysm, if I can use the word. We see the planet and the peoples and countries all over the planet. There's a malaise, there's an unrest. Now, certain parts of the world have it greater than other parts of the world. I mean, I understand that. I get that. There's still a lot of beauty. There's still a lot of good. Watch a ballerina dance. Watch someone hit a high C in the opera. I mean, are you kidding me? Watch an old clip of Jimi Hendrix doing Purple Haze. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff on this planet. Watch a pole vaulter, go up and break a record. Watch a 21-year-old golfer break and smash all those things are incredible. I agree with you. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are incredible. We are the crown of creation. I understand all that. But there's a cosmic war that has been raging in an unseen dimension. And this is the whole purpose of this show, is to try to wake up people to the idea that this cosmic war has been raging and that mankind is actually under the dominion of the bad guys. That's what Yeshua came for 2,000 years ago, was to break the chains from that domination by the fallen cherub 2,000 years ago, and he did it on Calvary. That's the game changer. That changes the entire fabric of the known universe as we know it. That changed everything. That's our escape hatch. It's going to be renewed. That's why the rider on the white horse can come back, because he's reestablished and owns the title deed to earth. The fallen one owned it before Calvary. It's a very complex question, and I understand where you're coming from. You mentioned Findhorn. I mean, I can address that. The entities in Findhorn, there's a lot of nonsense going on in Findhorn, and they're basically channeling information. They're basically contacting these entities. It all goes back to the same thing. What source? How do you determine the entity that you are seeing is benevolent or malevolent? What is your litmus test? What is our litmus test for determining what it is we are dealing with? And this is the bottom line. People can be so easily deceived. I've talked to people that have had contacts, voice to skull contact with otherworldly entities, and I've counseled people and got them out of it. I've counseled people, and they remain in bondage to it. They can't get out of it. They can't stop the voices, basically because they have a pact with these entities, and they allow them to come in to begin with. It's a very complex question, and I'm not going to be able to answer it in the way that I really like to. I know we're running out of time here, but I've sort of hit on some hot button issues for you. The planet is about to go through the most tenuous time in all of history. It's been prophesied. This is what's coming. All the signs of the birth pangs are here. Giving birth to what? Giving birth to the 7-year tribulation that ancient prophetic text, specifically the Bible, warns us will happen in the last days. That's where we're at. That's what I believe. Other people don't believe that. I'm stuck with it. I look around and that's what I see manifesting. And if I'm wrong, okay, I'll have to rethink things. But I look at what's happening, and I'm alarmed, to say the least.
Before I let you go, I have to ask this. It kind of wraps up the entire evening. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
What is it?
To be here.
It's always great having you on. And we need to have an L.A. Marzulli week here on But L.A., what is it? What is it that they win? What's the end game? The planet? I mean, what is it? What is it that they win? What do they gain?
Here's the deal. Can you imagine a planet? Can you imagine this Earth where there's no monetary system as we know it, where people are living in peace and harmony. There is no war. There's no disease on the planet. There's no disease. There's no hospitals. No one's getting sick. There is no cancer. There is no war. There are no murders. There are no rapes. That's where it's headed. That's where it's going to go. That's the promise. That's what will happen on this planet when he returns. Now, is that mythos? Is that fantasy? Is that nonsense? I don't think so. I think it is the ultimate reality. And when he comes, he brings his A game. Boy, does he bring his A game. And everything changes. It changed 2,000 years ago on Calvary. It's about to change again when he returns. And when he returns, that's what he brings with him. He heals the nations. Think about that. He heals the nations. All the nonsense that we see, all the Kim Jong-uns of the world, and the despots, and the Bashar al-Assads in Syria, and the beheadings, it's all gone. It won't happen. It's gone. That's the promise. That's what I cling to. That's my hope. So yeah, all this negative stuff, I'm throwing my hands up and going, hey, it's coming, mile wide craft, the coming great deception, it's coming. But what is coming after that is the victory of the king, the rider on the white horse.
What are you going to be speaking about next week at UPARS? By the way, all of the links, and you can go to lamarzulli.net, but everything is up on jimmychurchradio.com as well. Next week, he is here in Studio City at UPARS. What are you going to be speaking about?
Well, I'm definitely going to touch on Watcher's 8 and the implant and what happened with all that. I'm going to try to bring in some of the Nephilim research and hopefully sort of make a bridge between what happened in antiquity, what's happening now. And a lot of this stuff will be old hat to some of the people, but, to other people, hopefully it'll be sort of an eye-opener. So we'll see what happens. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, L.A., man.
Thanks, Jimmy. Pleasure to be here, man.
All the best, man. Have a great night.
You too.
L.A. Marzulli, everybody. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and I think we have a winner. And we'll do that when we come back. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. L.A. Marzulli. That was just absolutely amazing. It looks like I'll have enough time when we come back after the break. We'll announce our winner for the Watchers box set, and I'll read the email from Mark Wyatt. I'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Attention, all Fade or Not. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
That talks the net. KGRA Radio.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. May arrives soon, and with it comes another Contact in the Desert. So join me in Joshua Tree, California for the 3rd annual Contact in the Desert Conference being held May 29th through the 31st. 2015 brings another awesome lineup of speakers, including publisher of Legendary Times, Giorgio Tsoukalos, New York Times bestselling author David Wilcock, journalist and conspiracy expert Jim Marrs, former head of UFO Project for the MOD Nick Pope, investigative reporter Linda Moulton Howe, author and contactee Travis Walton, UFO historian Richard Dolan, and many more. You don't want to miss this. Fade to Black and KGRA will be there broadcasting live May 29th. Just visit contactinthedesert.com for tickets and information. That's contactinthedesert.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
Yeah. Fade to Black, the Monday edition. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio, hashtag F2B. All right, the judges are in the other room. So I will say this really quick. Go ahead and post it, and then I will read it live on the air. Who is the winner? I have a runner-up. I'm going to do the runner-up. The runner-up is my choice. So go ahead, Wowo. Post it. Post it right now. Hashtag F2B, and then I will read it on the air. I got, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the post. I'm waiting for the post. I got an email from Mark Wyatt over in Cornwall in the UK, and it was in response to Richard Dolan last week, who told his story about some train that he was somebody had come up and told him the story about this experience, and so it sparked a lot of email. Then I got this one from Mark Wyatt. Rita, I'm waiting for the announcement. Do you want me to just do it? Do you? There it is. She just posted. The winner is Keith. The winner is Keith. Keith. Now, you can either call back into the show right now. Keith, call back into the show, 323-825-5045. Also, you need to email Rita. I have your phone number here. And you need to email Rita at jimmychurchradio.com. And there you go. Congratulations, Keith. Now, I do have a runner-up, though. The runner-up is Stallone. We're going to pull something out of the junk drawer, something ultra cool. Stallone, you know how to get a hold of Rita. Rita at jimmychurchradio.com. Let's get you hooked up, too, as well, because I got to tell you, that was a great question. But, here we go. Hold on. Let me grab this. Let me grab this call. What is going on with my... There it is, right there. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi.
Is this Keith?
Yes.
Keith, congratulations, man. You just won a box set.
Is that the L.A. Marzulli Watchers thing?
Yes, it is. You got the whole...
I'm not interested. I think the guy's brilliant, but I think fear-mongering is not the way to go and to ignore human potential. No. Listen, no, you've got the wrong message. It's not about fear-mongering. That's Alex Jones. That's a whole nother thing. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. What L.A. You have to, Jimmy, you have to stir the pot. And if you don't stir the pot, then nobody's going to listen. Yeah, I know. I studied an awful lot of. I have a BA in religion and psychology and philosophy, and I studied a lot of quantum mechanics because of a professor. And when you piece all these different languages together, and then you come across, really, it's thinly disguised fundamentalism is what he's doing, and it's okay. It's just that I don't think our human are wherever you put your mind, things are, and there's so many replications, and a lot of these people really have no Eastern background behind them to discuss these kinds of concepts, and nor do they see the parallels in Africa and the Aborigines in Australia or in China and so on. And then they'll disregard even stuff like near death and all of that literature and stuff. So I don't know. It's just it's a very big. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
But see, you're saying exactly what I'm trying to say. Okay, the fact is, you need to look at all of the different angles, everybody's opinions, because if you don't listen to everybody else, such as L.A. Marzulli or any other researcher out there, and you're closed-minded, then you go nowhere. And putting up barriers around your house and around your mind only closes off the world. It doesn't open you up. You know what I mean? So, and
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Exactly. No, because and I'm not saying that you're being hypocritical of your own opinion, but what I'm saying is, if you are open-minded enough to go to school and get a BA in religion, that means you were listening to your professors. You went in with one mindset and you left with another. Okay, and if you're pulling physics into religion, you're treading on dangerous ground right there, aren't you? But you're open-minded enough to try to connect those dots. And so, but do you understand? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do. And the thing is, the biggest transformation for me was when I met a monk. And I spent time, and he taught me how to meditate. And then he opened up my consciousness and awakened my kundalini. And it was in that domain that a lot of these other things kind of drop. It no longer becomes verbiage, but it becomes an experiential knowledge, which is far surpasses. And getting rooted into sort of this certain kinds of, because everybody can tap dance, Jimmy. Everybody can tap dance around things and talk about things, but and also be comfortably disregarding other kinds of information. I was just, came across today. I was just thinking about it. In the Pentecostal, it says there that the apostles all of a sudden they started speaking all languages. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, what does that mean? And I thought about it, and it was like, they became telepathic, which was a raise in consciousness. Well, it's the exact same thing when sometimes people have close encounters with positive beings. They walk away from that with metaphysical experiences, and they're experientially changed. When you awaken your kundalini, your whole physiology changes. But things also happen. Your perception changes, your ability to see auric fields, your ability to sort of transfer your energy outwards and so on. It all depends on the person and where they're at and so on. And having semantics about, all right, we're at the end of the world and Jesus is going to come back and save us in the end. Well, then, if that's true, then yahoo, we all get saved in the end anyway, But I'm so tired of people being afraid and hurt and not really looking at their own human potential and that idea that we all are going to go into a rainbow body eventually. It's our natural inclination, and there's a purpose to that. I mean, even Robert Monroe talked about it, how in the future that all the souls were etheric. They were on another level around the planet, but yet periodically would come down to the planet and become physical and then go back to a rainbow body of light. I mean, that's where I'm at, and I don't know. I think you're beautiful anyway. So,
hey, Keith, but that's exactly why people listen to this show, okay? Because you having another thing to bring to the table. Right? Something else is slap on the table and go, look, okay, yes, there's that. And then there's this. And today I was researching this, but this is what and then you're causing people to go and research and look and listen. And it's just another view. And it's all about learning and expanding. And that's exactly my point. And that's exactly what LA does. He brings in another view to the table, or any other guest that I have on this show. You bring it to the table, and let's all learn together, And as you heard on the offset of everything tonight with myself in L.A., and I respect him a lot, but I am the glasses half full guy, and I just don't think it's going down that road, and I don't think it's getting to that. But you know what? I'm gonna listen. Absolutely, I'm gonna listen.
Yeah, I listen. I do too, and I did listen. I really honestly did. But underneath it, again, I saw a thinly disguised fundamentalist. And I can turn on the television and see that. That's where I saw this going.
Well, but the whole world is full of that. And we get it from all directions.
Bingo.
Yes. But you have to listen. And we have to learn. And we certainly have to digest. We have to intake all of this, and we have to see what's coming out on the other side. We have to, and the one thing, check this out, Keith, and I can tell you're one of these guys. You're a listener. You listen. But my dad told me when I was a kid, and I lived my life with these words since then, which is the world is full of people that don't listen. All they do is talk. Okay? People need to listen and stop talking. And that's it. And that is why I have every guest from all different angles on this show, because I'm a listener. And so are the fans and the audience of this show. They want to listen. And I'm serious. My job is to stir the pot. I want everybody to listen. Don't close yourself off. And I think you're exactly that.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that, Jimmy, and I appreciate your show, and I do, and believe me, I've gone through a lot of education since I've been listening to you since almost the beginning. I think 3 or 4 months into it is when I started listening to you. I found you accidentally, and I've been pretty faithful about listening. And yes, there's been a lot of education in this process, but I'm quick to weed out things that are fear mongering. That's all. It just irks me the wrong way, because that kind of energy isn't going to bring. That is not the kind of energy that helps one to grow and to have an experiential knowledge of what's really around you. I mean, when you get angry, you become flat and two-dimensional. In the sense that you see the world that way. But when you become full of love, the world becomes extremely three-dimensional and beyond. And your higher self becomes aware, and you start to experience other things, colors, entities, precognition, all of this kind of stuff only happens in a state of higher or loving consciousness. And I think you had a guy on that said, I never knew anybody who didn't start off with cancer. Anger that didn't manifest into cancer. Mm-hmm. I love that line. I thought that was absolutely brilliant and true.
Yes, and
so that's what I think. I think L.A. I'm sorry. My final point is I think L.A., with all his good intentions, the bottom line on this is you're not digging yourself out and saying, all right, I need to love other people and so on. It's like, I got to protect myself because these demons are coming. And it's fear. It's a fear-based philosophy, and it doesn't do anything in terms of healing. And I've seen there's been plenty of people who have passed away in my life that that's not what you do. You don't live the end of your life fear-based. That's all.
Thank you for the call, Keith. And it was just posted. Somebody just posted, you are officially a fade or not.
Thank you.
But always remember, with anybody out there that is trying to, and I say this so often, trying to stir the pot, it's because so many people are asleep and would choose to ignore what is going on around them and hoping that it will just go away. And that is, it's sometimes, it's tough love, where you've got to shake some people to get them to start thinking about what is real and what is really going on. And that's the point. You call it, I don't think with LA it's fear-mongering, that's what you want to call it, but I don't think it's that. There are guys out there that do that, and it does rub me the wrong way. With somebody like LA or other guys out there that are a little more controversial in their beliefs, it's because that they just want the people that are asleep, that are choosing to ignore, to wake up and try to get them to realize, that there are things going on in this world. You may be safe at home every single day and go to work and come home and watch the X Factor every night and go to bed and choose to ignore what's going on around you. And that's who we're speaking to, and I think you realize that. And anyway, thanks for the call, man. Very, 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 very well thought out. Thank you so much, Keith. And
You're the best.
Oh, no, you are. The show's all about you. Do write Rita at jimmychurchradio.com. You are going to receive this box set because you're the winner. You have the best question. And also, when you watch Watchers, okay, it's more, it's comprehensive and technical. It's not, it doesn't come from, because it's more about research. It doesn't come from that mindset. So you'll enjoy it, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Keith. You have a great night.
You too. Thank you, Jim.
Right on. This is Fade to Black. Thank you, Keith. Went to the bloody end tonight. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Thank you, everybody who called in tonight. And I've got to get out of here. We're up against it. Thank you, L.A. Marzulli. Great show tonight. I didn't get to Mark Wyatt's email. All right, I will do it tomorrow night. I promise it will be worth the wait. This is Fade to Black. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Bateau, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster, the one and only Method of Signaling. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, spaceboymusic.com. Faded Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication, KGRA, The Planet. Tomorrow night, Joshua P. Warren. I'm your oh so humble host, Jimmy Church. I want everybody to be safe. See ya.